What's up and welcome to another Mograph Mocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt, and joining us today is our good friend and former Maya guy himself, Perry Harovas.
Hey everyone.
And Mograph is a supplement to our site, mograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other Mograph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. You can email us, info@mograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show. Send us your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, your grievances. We love to get those from you. We love to address topics that people are interested in hearing. That's always a good thing. And if it's something that you feel is too noob, we don't care. If it's something that's very expert, well, maybe we won't be able to answer that, but we'll try. And this week, Perry's here. We got a lot to talk about. And we have a huge week wrap up, which I'm going to try and get through pretty quick here.
It's R21 Day.
Anyway. It is R21 Day. Happy R21 Day, everybody. Should we celebrate here? Let's celebrate.
Can you do?
Yeah. Yeah. Woo. Happy R. It's happening. Yeah. Okay. Confetti. Okay.
Let's have that
R21,
go through the whole show.
Guess what?
What?
Guess what?
Chicken butt.
R21 can read ProRes. Did you know that?
I did know that. It's funny because I put that in the Baron's request line, on Slack, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's implemented in R21. We just didn't put that. We just didn't write it down." So just a heads up for everyone who is still planning on getting Camp Mograph tickets. We have a few left, and ticket sales end this Friday. So make sure and pick those up if you are planning on coming. If you don't pick them up after the 6th, we can't guarantee that we can get you a spot if there is even any tickets left. So,
right.
Yes, make sure you do that.
And there's plenty of tent space because it's tent space if you want to get a tent ticket as well. But
yes, we have plenty of that.
We have to cut off the tickets because we have to start ordering all the things.
T-shirts and patches and other stuff. Yeah. So
check that out. Get a ticket. Come meet up with us. You're not going to want to miss it. You're going to have so much FOMO.
It's going to be so much fun, yo.
Let's talk about the 3D Design Plus Motion Tour. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot.
Austin. We're going to Austin this week. Tonight, actually, we're leaving. We got to post the show and get out of here. We're going to drive, and it starts, we got to be there early tomorrow morning. And then, if you're in Austin, you want to go, there's a discount code, MG3DMT. That's M as in mom, G as in grandma, 3D as in 3D animation, M for Mograph, T for Tom. And you can get, I think it's a 25% discount. Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Off of that. And then the next day, we're road tripping it up. We're going to have a little beer meetup. It's not like no presentations or anything, just motionographers hanging out, just chilling, having some beers. It's going to be us and EJ. Barton Damer's going to be there now. Ryan Talbot is going to be with us as well. And Matthias is coming up from Austin now to join us. So it's going to be a fun beer meetup. Even if
no one else shows up, I still get to just hang out with my friends. So
yeah, and I have to stress this right here. I was wondering why nobody was signing up. And then thankfully somebody finally hit me up. Ri-Fi hit me up and he was like, did you know that the tickets don't go on sale until the day of? I have no idea how that got switched from the default, but now you can get a ticket. It's free, but let us know if you're coming to the Dallas one.
They've totally messed that up.
Also wanted to mention that the other ones coming up, the other 3D Design Plus Motion stops that are coming up, September 10th, Montreal, September 12th, Toronto, September 14th, Chicago, right before Half Res. So if you're going to be in Chicago a little bit early, you might be able to catch that and meet us at Half Res too. Yeah. It's going to be fun. We're sponsoring
We're going to be going to all the things.
All the things the rest of the year. Which other ones? We're going to be at the New York one. Perry, you're going to be in New York as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Will we be at the New York one? Is that during NAB East?
It's the Tuesday, the day before. So as long as we're not still setting up live streaming equipment.
Well, I don't know. Aren't they normally? They're not at night though. They're during the day, right?
It depends on if we get our stuff done on time or not. But
all right,
And maybe we can make the social at the end of the day or something like that.
We could do that.
But also, we are going to be
NAB
in
East?
Denver now. Well, we'll be in NAB East. We're going to be in Denver now as well at the one in November. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a giant party. And that's it. Also, Nodefest is coming up. There are still some tickets on sale.
Yes.
We are happy to be a sponsor of that as well. And we're going to have the
We will
captain.
not be there for that, though.
We will not be there for that.
As much as we want to.
No, that would be great, but it's a long ways. And the captain is going to be on later on in the show. He's always hilarious. We pre-recorded this thing, and the one time that my video recording software borks is the one time that we're not streaming, where I can get a backup. So we will play it on here. It will have like the typical, picture of the person and live via Skype, so you can check that out. And I redid the screencast just for you guys, so you can see what we're talking about.
You did edit him, right?
Later on the show. I did have to edit him.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
He's a funny guy, though. He's a funny guy. He has no filter, which is great.
No filter.
No filter whatsoever. It's hilarious. Other events. CTRL+Z Volume 2 was announced this week, too. Look how many meetups are going on.
So many meetups.
This is the Beeple party in LA. Make sure you check that out and be watching for. I don't think tickets are on sale yet, are they?
If my wife still loves me by the end of November, I will be very surprised.
Yeah, it's a rough schedule this year. It's tough when you have to go party in places.
Don't say that, because then she's gonna think we're just partying the whole time.
And then I also wanted to mention that Pro Video Podcast is back.
Yay!
I noticed that. I'm happy about that.
Love you, Blair.
And then other notes that I had here are we sent out our first newsletter. So if you go to mograph.com and sign up, you'll get newsletters. We had a pretty cool looking newsletter with all sorts of great tidbits of information.
Yep.
We have an events page now on mograph.com where you can check out upcoming events. We're going to try and keep that updated. And Wave apps, I guess since they got bought, I don't know the real reason, but they have discontinued their advances.
I mean,
advances,
like that whole thing scared me. I was like,
yes,
I think it's a cool idea to be able to get an advance on like money, invoices that you do, but you never know when that client's gonna pay you or not. It's just like, okay, I'll wait 30 days, but they don't always pay in 30 days.
That sounds like asking for trouble,
right?
Yeah,
that's probably why they discontinued it. They probably had too many people not paying.
Yeah, just have a little cash flow. It's not always easy, but
totally
it's better than paying interest on clients' payments. Like, ugh.
Plus, you're already paying the fees for credit cards and stuff like that. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think it might have also had to do with their acquisition.
Yeah, probably. Who'd they get bought by?
H&R Block, right?
I think it was H&R Block or something like that.
Yeah.
Weird.
I bet that had something to do with it. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention that I built a computer with my daughter.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Week, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was.
What's the octane bench on that?
Whatever a 980 Ti is.
What's the Cinebench on that? Did you test it?
I didn't test it.
See, now you got to test it. You got to call her up and be like, hey, download this program, and you just do a Cinebench.
Yeah, will she want to try Cinema 4D? That would be fun.
Cinnamon 4D?
Cinnamon 4D. Yeah. I had a lot of fun with that, though. It's one of those things where when you have a kid, you decide to do a project or buy them something expensive, like a mountain bike, like I did earlier, or, whatever it is. It's like, I really hope that they're into this because I'm putting a lot into it and they're too young to understand that I'm spending my bonus money on this.
The value of the money that you're spending. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Every time we go to Target, my kid wants a new toy and I buy him a toy and then he brings it home and the dog tears it apart within 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop buying that kid
toys. I was really very glad that she was so excited about it.
Yeah.
She actually picked out an awesome mouse with like the target trigger and everything, so she could pwn noobs on Fortnite. And she wanted the headset. I got her the Kraken headset version 2, the one that PewDiePie wears, of course. And then I got her the cat ears made specially for that headset, you know. And her friend had a LAN party yesterday.
A LAN party? An actual LAN party?
Yeah, she came over her friend came over with her laptop, and they were sitting there playing Fortnite and Minecraft, whatever, you know. It was really cool because I taught her. I don't know, it's something about with kids, like you could sit and you could try and teach a kid, even if they're interested, you could try and teach a kid, this is the CPU and this is what it does, and show them on paper. But there's something so different about having tangible, like, RAM in your hand and saying, this is what the RAM does. And it's like short-term memory. And she totally got it. And like, she explained it to other people who came over and like, oh, this is the CPU. And we had to put the thermal paste on. And
you also don't realize, like, until you build a computer yourself, like the first one that I built, I had no idea what I was doing. You know, I didn't know what parts I needed. You know, I was 34, 35 years old when I built my first computer. And so, like, I mean, thanks to Sage, he kind of walked me through it, and I watched tons of YouTube tutorials on how to do it, you know. But now, if I were to do it now, having done it once, you know, it's like, oh, I know exactly what I need, you know, and what all the parts do.
And the only mistake that I made is I bought one of the Ryzens that has the graphics processor built in. Even though I had an old 980 Ti, I figured, okay, I can at least get this built. And of course, the problem happens, you get something like a motherboard that doesn't have the right BIOS update yet and can't recognize it.
Right.
So you can't see video until you update the BIOS, but you can't update the BIOS until you have video. So I was missing one from the power supply, one of those like 8 pin 6+2 pin connectors.
Yeah.
And so I had to grab a whole other power supply that I had and put it in there temporarily just to get the graphics card up and running.
Oh, well, so okay, so you didn't actually need to keep the second PSU there, did you?
No, but I didn't have the parts, you know, so now right now there are 2 giant power supplies in this little case, you know, running the thing until I order that one cable that I need. I'm like, all right, Daddy's going to have to order that and come back and fix it next week. You should see how it's crammed in there. But it's up and running. She loves it. You know, all the fans have colors, and the colors, children. There's she loves that. And she's totally digging it. And I think she has a new appreciation for that. If I would have just bought her a computer at Best Buy, it wouldn't have been the same. She wouldn't have understood, like, how much work this is and what goes into it. And, you know, she even installed Windows and typed in the codes and, you know,
CD space, dot.
Yeah. Do you guys have what I have, which is like a bin of like parts from like the last like 10 years? And it's like, I know I have that somewhere, and you go like fishing through it.
Yep.
I feel like what I do now is I put everything in the motherboard box.
Oh, so, I do that. But also, like, I have. So I got to the point where I would put all my cables in baggies. You know, so I know if I know I need a specific cable, I just go and find the baggie instead of having to go through, you know. Yeah. It's smart, whatever.
I was really actually super impressed by her resourcefulness because the motherboard was supposed to come with a couple SATA cables, and it didn't. And so we got the drive, and there was no SATA cable to connect the drive. I'm like, dang it, we're going to have to go to Best Buy. And she's like, Daddy, what about the old computer you're pulling all these parts out of? Is there not a SATA cable in there? And I was like, oh, yeah. So I got the SATA cable. But it wasn't bad. It was, all in all, because I already had the 980 Ti, it was $600+ for the machine.
$600 plus,
really
$1,400.
Right. No, it was under $700, and then there's rebates, you know, as well. Yeah. So that, you know, that's not bad. That's not bad. The thing will last her until high school, I'm sure. So
for sure,
you know,
that's a couple healthy bikes.
yeah, for sure. Let's see. All right, so that was a long week wrap up, but let's move on to some Ravcock. What's your flavor?
What's your flavor? Sorry if I was a little pitchy, Rick.
Perry, this is one of your topics that you had for the show here today, and I just thought it would fit well in here. that's I thought I added this to the list too, but I don't see it all of a sudden, which is Pixel Plow is now an Octane.
Yeah.
Can do Octane, by the way. I just thought I'd mention that.
It's 2018 Octane. And so you submit an Orbix file instead of like submitting like a C4D with, Octane or something. You actually submit an Orbix file.
Oh, I like
which is cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, it sometimes takes a while to export out to Orbix, depending on how big your scene is. But yeah.
Yeah. That can take a while, depending.
Yeah.
Last week, we exported out a 36 gig Orbix file.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh. How long did it take?
It took an hour and a half. And it worked.
Okay.
Wow.
How
do you know if it's not like crashing? There isn't really a progress bar, is there?
There is not. I don't think there is.
I could move the mouse and it wasn't sort of like freezing up on me. And these are pretty powerful computers. So I crossed my fingers and hoped, and it turned out fine. I actually exported it out twice and it was fine.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
You're like, crap, I made one little mistake. All right, now I got to export it again.
So before we get to your first topic, though, let's talk about what you do, actually. We should probably mention that first.
You've been listening since, like, the beginning.
You were former Maya guy, remember?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember writing to you guys and saying, like, I used to be a Maya user, and I've been Cinema 4D for, I don't know how long it was at that point, but yeah, I feel like I've used almost everything out there, but in truth, it's been just specific ones. It was Lightwave on an Amiga was my first one, and then it was Alias Power Animator and Wavefront Composer before they became Alias Wavefront, and they got jammed together. Then Maya and Softimage, XSI, and Cinema 4D. And other things like along the way, like when I needed to. But Cinema 4D has been the most fun of all the apps that I've used, and I'm really enjoying it. I use it to play as well as to work.
Do you still jump into Maya occasionally?
I do when I have to. Here at work, we have some legacy projects that are being done in Maya, and so I'll be in Maya to troubleshoot something if something's not going the way they expected. But in general, I try not to spend a lot of time in Maya. I did 10 years in Maya. I don't mean to say that like a prison sentence, but that's kind of how I feel at this point. But yeah, I try not to get into it, and I don't use it for any of my freelance work. It's just, I can do everything I want to do in Cinema 4D.
That's cool.
So you haven't told everybody where you work.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So I work at World Wrestling Entertainment. We're in Stamford, Connecticut. And yeah, I've been there here about 4 years. My role is a really interesting one. It's a combination of sort of like mentor, teacher, helping some of the artists that are here to understand how they might do something, because I can't tell by the gray in my beard and the lack of hair on my head. I'm older than your average Mograph person, and so I can help them through some of the issues that they have, and maybe come up with alternative ways to do something if it's difficult. So it's not really a defined role in that regard. They have called me Yoda, which other than the green part, I'm kind of short and my arms are a little hairy. So, but
they carry you on their backs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, they're great. We have 30 artists here.
Dang.
And
wow.
It's split up about evenly between 2D and 3D. And I'm in the engineering department, post-production engineering. So I support all of 2D and 3D in terms of problem solving, and also I sort of like design the pipeline. And one of the things we'll talk about, and we can do it now if you want, but is the transition between different types of software. So we were a Maya house mostly for 3D, and we just transitioned completely over to Cinema after telling it to them about Cinema for about all the time I've been here, pretty much. And the 2D department is one like 5-step staircase away, so it's not like they haven't heard or seen that cinema can do some cool stuff. But because of my associations in the past with Maya, I talked a lot about it to the Maya people and started to show them some of the things that it can do, and now we've fully transitioned over into cinema. For our largest brands, all of our new pay-per-views, all of our TV shows, they're all being branded with cinema content.
That's awesome.
Complete, like 100%. Yeah.
Cool.
So are you having to redo like any of the intros or anything like that? Like, the yes. entrance like stuff when people come out,
Matt knows more than I do. I'm
like, are you having to redo all that for cinema as well?
Yes. But that stuff gets redone all the time anyway. It would have gotten redone.
I can see that.
And it has to get redone when a character's clothing changes, like their costume.
Right. Yeah.
Every single time it has to be redone. Matchups have to be redone with new pictures. And I should say, like, all the views, this is going to sound really legal, but basically my views on the subject are my own. They're not those of WWE. But I will say that there's a lot of work that goes into these things. And so even when we create an asset, it's not like sort of like a static asset. It basically changes and evolves over time to some degree that it has to. But all of our intros for our 2 live shows, soon to be more in the future, are being done in cinema now. So Raw and SmackDown are both being redone in cinema, like that's literally awesome. Currently.
That's way awesome.
Yeah.
How do the Maya folks feel about it? Like, are you getting a few people grumbling? We're like, oh no, I don't want to use cinema, Maya. Please don't come to my desk and ask me questions. I don't know.
I will
my impression of every Maya.
Yeah. I will say that I was expecting that, but because I didn't force it down anybody's throat. In fact, the first pay-per-view that we used it on was called Great Balls of Fire, and it was a few years ago. We used it just for Turbulence FD, and I ended up saying, "Hey, you guys got some fire that you have to do." The one sort of weakness in Maya's rendering pipeline at that point was it took a long time to simulate and render flames and fire and smoke.
Mm-hmm. And what were they using for that?
They were using Maya Fluids at the time.
Oh, okay.
So and Maya Fluids, was really good for the day, but it's kind of long in the tooth now. So so I said, hey, look what we can do in cinema. We have, I don't know, 40 seats of cinema or something like that. If you guys need it, I can show you how to use it. It's really easy. And sort of that innocent, offer was really what started the whole thing. But it never was in my mind of like, oh, we're just going to transition the whole department.
Right.
But it ended up being that way sort of like organically, because the next time a pay-per-view came up, they said, hey, how would we do like crumbling rock and destruction? And we had a pay-per-view called Stomping Grounds, which just came out a few months ago. That entire thing was done in cinema. That was our first full project end-to-end. And everybody kind of jumped into it, and they were saying to themselves, wow, this is really easy. This is great. Like, we should use this more often. And so it really wasn't like me trying to convince them. They were like...
They convinced themselves.
Yeah, they did. Like, they really... because if you've never used Maya like extensively on a project, it might be hard to identify with the feeling that you can get when you use Maya of like, you hit a roadblock and you're not sure like how maybe you can get around it, and sometimes the way around it is something like scripted, or you have to, like, I've had to hire somebody to write Mel code in the past. I'm not a coder, and Maya has some bugs that are, not every software does, but Maya has some bugs that sort of go back way to the beginning, and you kind of get an attitude when you have Maya of like trying to convince yourself, this is, quote, the industry standard, and this is why we use it. But it's not fun. Like, and I frankly find cinema fun, and I'm almost 52, and I shouldn't be having fun with this stuff anymore. I should be like bored to death of it, but I'm not. I mean, I really take anytime I have free time, I'm really into it, and I'm like, I wonder what would happen if I connect these two things or try this. And I mean, it's kind of like everybody learns when they're kids. It's like, what happens if I do this thing? Let's see what the reaction is. Like, that's kind of how I feel about cinema.
Mm-hmm.
Matt and I kind of got that years ago when we were working at a place where we did have cinema and we were allowed to use cinema, but there were other people there using 3D Max, and they just it was bashing software for the sake of bashing software. There wasn't a reason they liked Max. It's just because they always used it, and they just refused to even entertain the idea of moving to it. And now it's funny because I hear rumors of the people who used to work there and what they're doing now, and I hear that they're using cinema now. So it's like, you know, it takes a while for people to let go of that mentality.
Yeah.
Are there any things that, like, you know, cinema is not 100% better than any other program. Are there any things in Maya that you wish cinema did better?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that Maya, that you're just like, okay, I wish cinema would incorporate this.
Like, as far as I'm concerned, no. I mean, you might get a different answer if you ask some of the artists who are just transitioning now, and some of that might be valid. But it also, like, in the last few weeks over this transition, and it's literally been in the last few weeks that this transition's been happening, they have been asking themselves, like, where how would I do this or that, or can it do this or that, because they're used to it, not necessarily because it's better that way in Maya, just sort of that they're used to it. And I've been hearing this sort of conversation going on amongst themselves, and they've included me in it as well, which is, hey, like, we used to do it this way in Maya, and it doesn't mean like that's the better way to do it. It's just, how would I go about doing this? So, like, we had discussions about things like that, like, oh, okay, well, hey, this is different, but like, this is what this does. This is very similar, whatever that feature is, and here are the things that maybe you couldn't do in Maya that this gives you. And it's usually those things that we like to concentrate. It's sort of like being positive. But I can't think of any that I would miss, frankly.
That's something when you use any piece of software that's new, is I think a lot of the learning curve, if you're already kind of used to, okay, I know what keyframes are and, you know, what XYZ axis is. It's just finding where is this thing? Yeah. And sometimes,
like, you know the workflow, you just don't know that particular one's workflow. Like, for example, Cinema 4D decides to do deformers, where you drop the deformer down into, you know, as a child of the main object or whatever.
Right.
Like, I 3ds Max and I think Blender add modifiers that are already put in there, and you have to, you know, dive in deep with them. I don't know how Maya handles it as well. So
Maya is actually, I mean, I just talked about being positive, but if I have to say one thing that really was impressive to me when I made the switch, and you have to realize, like, I was on Softimage for 10 years of like sort of full-time use. So like my Maya gripes are at that point 10 years old. So now they're, I don't know how old they are, 15 years old or something. But one of the things in Maya is it isn't very procedural. There's some procedural-esque aspects to it, but it isn't sort of like you drop a deformer and then you kind of like easily reorder the deformers and you include new things in them. You can do that, but you're almost like taking your life or your project in your hands when you try to do that often. And that being said, cinema is not as procedural as Houdini is. And I think it's that sort of middle ground that I really like, because it's not like I have to build a graph network to make a sphere. I mean, you don't have to do that in Houdini anyway, but you could.
Yeah, for sure.
So, as far as the reason I had this one section here in Ravcock is you wrote as a note the evolution of renderers over the years. What have you been using over the years to do renders?
Well, starting with Lightwave, it was the Lightwave renderer on an Amiga, and I mean, my first experience rendering anything, I don't remember what the word was, but I was flying down the corridor of like center of an A, and there were no shadows. There was a little bit of specular, no reflectivity. It took about an hour to render that one frame. And it was partially the hardware, of course, but it was also the software. But I was being influenced by things that I was seeing on television, and I was working at a small post-production facility that needed graphics like that. But the more I started to push it, the more I started to learn about like the limitations of renderers, and it had a lot of limitations. It couldn't do global illumination, so we were doing things like faking it with lights under the floor that were not casting shadows, that were pointing upwards, which was fun. It gave you a good look. It rendered super fast. But like I've sort of seen renderers over the last almost 30 years like evolve to the point where like it's almost like checkboxes, like global illumination. Like it used to be the type of thing where it was like it could only be done in a static way. You couldn't have deforming or moving objects. And then that was checked off, and you could do deforming or moving objects. And then it became the type of thing that you could do under production rendering, which you wouldn't even think of doing before. And as time went on, it just sort of became like not can we do something, but how quickly can we do something? And I don't know when that transition was, but that's what gets me excited. Is now it's been for, I don't know, 10 years at least. It's like, how are we going to do it? But it's not a question of can we do it. Really, nothing is impossible anymore, and it used to be impossible. And it's nice to kind of bridge that gap between when it wasn't possible, when we were dreaming like, oh wow, like imagine if we could do this. Now it's like, how are we going to do that?
Right.
And I think
it gets you pumped.
Yeah. The stuff is exciting. And when I saw Octane, which was many years ago, it was almost 10 years ago. I didn't have a way of using it. I wasn't using software that could take advantage of it. But I remember pushing. I was in Softimage at the time, and I was pushing the guy that was developing the Softimage plugin for it. And then Softimage got killed. But I thought that was going to be really an amazing sort of evolution in what we could do, not just for what it could do, and it definitely could do a lot even back then. It was really the iterations. And that's what to this day impresses me, is like, if I don't have to wait 5-10 minutes for something, I can make iterations and I can make other choices and I can get my effect in a different way. It's really that real-time feedback that has made a huge impact on what I do, what we do here at the company. And it's like, it's not always fun, but it allows producers to sit down next to you and say, hey, can you move that light over there? Let me see what it looks like with a blue light. And they don't have to walk away and come back in an hour or even 5 minutes, which makes a difference because they end up getting, distracted.
Yeah.
I mean, it does decrease the amount of time you can spend on Reddit.
Yeah.
That's important.
But
yeah.
So you also have a note here about what is left to do in CG.
Yeah, and I wanted to actually ask you guys what you thought was left to do, because and what I mean by that is, what do you think is still so like difficult to the point of you couldn't even imagine having to tackle it? And I don't mean like, like a fully human like CG person, because like it's been done. It's just going to take a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of people. Right. But is there something that you're like, I wish we could do it like this, or make this easier? I certainly have my own ideas, but I wanted to know what you guys thought.
One of the things that I hope will be changing soon, you could see where things are going, like look at Alchemist. Have you played with Alchemist yet?
Alchemist is pretty awesome.
Oh man.
I played with that this week,
great.
And it's amazing how quickly you can create like just tileable textures and stuff. If y'all haven't checked out the DFW C4D talk from Chad Ashley, where he goes over like Substance Designer, watch it. Like literally within 5 or 10 minutes, you'll be making perfectly tileable textures using images and stuff. It's crazy.
And especially with Alchemist. I mean, just trying that. I tried it out yesterday. It's, there's a bunch of stuff I think I need to learn to use it, but still, like, I was making stuff pretty quick. And
just being able to throw a picture in there and it just kind of like figuring it out, that's insane. Yeah. I took a picture. I took a picture of a pizza, and I put it in there. Now reverse the normals and stuff, so it looked like this super creepy, like alien skin type stuff. I was like, oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
But like just with one click, I was able to create something cool like that. Yeah.
But I can see a scenario here in the next 10 years where a combination of that and AI texturing comes into play. Now, you might still have to do your own texturing and really tweak stuff for stuff that's in the foreground. But let's say you were building like a city or something like that, and you're just like, man, I just want the buildings to all have just some generic city building textures and stuff on them, to be able to have some AI that's like, oh yeah, I can do some windows and crap on that real quick. I think AI is going to not be 100% for a really long time, but I think it's going to be a helper or a good starting point in the future, and the biggest thing to me, honestly, and this doesn't apply just to motion graphics, this applies to everything on the computer, is the fact that the pinch point in the creation process of anything right now is the fact that your brain knows exactly what you want, but it has to translate that through your hands.
Yeah.
So, that's way down the line.
Yeah, you're thinking way down the line.
But I'm thinking like this whole Elon Musk thing with like, connecting into your brain and all of that. Now, when you're able to think
you're thinking
what you
that,
want,
I'm thinking, man, I'd really like if After Effects was multi-threaded.
Right?
Yeah, I'm going to one-up that and say I wish it was also nodal-based, but that's just...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some nodal-based things with Espresso and Redshift, but I guess, are you talking about like if you have a primitive or...
After Effects.
After Effects, yeah.
After Effects.
Oh, After Effects.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cinema 4D too, I guess you could, some of this other stuff under the hood could be nodal-based.
I feel like it's got to go that way eventually. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely creeping into different areas of all software, I feel like, and to get to your point about AI or machine learning, I mean, it's already in that role of helping. I mean, Nuke, which we use extensively here, Nuke has machine learning aspects to it. Most graphics plugins are now starting to incorporate some of that in there, and I think it's just going to speed things up. And I think that yes, you're right. It's not going to be soon before it kind of does most of it on its own. But I don't feel like even if it could, anybody would want it to, because then, like, what's the fun in that? What are we doing? Even if it could, and I have no doubt that it could. In fact, I've seen examples recently of computers and machine learning creating art on its own. It doesn't have any more impact on me than if I see the artwork of another artist. All it does is inspire me and say, hey, I want to do my own stuff. So knowing if a computer can do it or a person can do it is just more inspiration, really.
I think it's the fact that you can concentrate on the art of storytelling. Yeah. A little more. The more help that you have, the faster you can go. Sometimes you just want to tell the story. And I think a lot of times when I sit down and I'm like, oh, I want to just do a render for fun, some of it is so I can learn something new. But then there's a lot of it that comes up that almost feels tedious. Like, I've done this so many times before. I wish I could just get through this part of it, so I could get to the fun part of it. So maybe tools that help you do that kind of stuff.
What for you is the fun part of it? Like, what would you define as the funnest part? Most fun.
It really depends. I like when it starts to all come together. I kind of work non-linearly. I'll model something here, and then I'll texture something here, and I'll kind of light something, but then I'll come back to it later. It's like when it really comes when it's really starting to come together is the part that I like, because I'm like, okay, this feels like something. And then some of this stuff, like Ariew talks a lot about digital DPing, you know, and I feel like I really like when I get to that point. It's like, okay, I've got this stuff built, and now I get to play around with the camera, figure out how I'm going to do this fly through and that kind of stuff. I think where it gets really tedious to me is when I'm
curves.
in Octane or any render engines, really, is when curves, or when I have to go in and set textures for everything.
Yeah.
Like I've got like 40 textures I need to do, and each one I got to go in and I got to set the diffuse, and I got to set the normals, and I got to set and it just, that's why things like Chad's texture pack that he built for Grayscale is so great, because like you're just dragging and dropping things. Like how many times have I had to make a paper texture or a rusted metal texture or a leather texture?
Right.
And it's nice to not have to start over every time, of course.
Right. Yeah, and the art of it isn't necessarily in each one of those. It could be, but it's not usually in each one of those little materials. It's sort of the overall, composition and what you put in there. And I totally agree. In fact, I find that the most fun part is when it feels like I've got a camera on my shoulder and I'm like just sort of walking or flying through a scene and I'm getting a shot. I come from a background of having gone to school for filmmaking, having produced and directed a few shorts, and I always wanted CG to get to that point. And so I totally identified with what you said, because that to me is the most fun part, is when it feels like I'm just filmmaking, when it feels like I'm running around with this camera and saying, oh, this shot would be really cool over here, and it'd be great if this was out of focus. And in the past, prior to Octane, that wasn't even, I'd have to think so many steps ahead. All right, I need a Z depth pass because I'm going to need to do fake depth of field and blah, blah, blah. And all these things had to line up in a row in order to get that inspirational, it would be really cool if I had this camera right here. Octane and renderers from now going forward are really giving me that feeling of being a filmmaker.
I love the part where you put in the depth of field. I don't know. It's something about you're trying to make something look really pretty, and then you finally get to the point where you're like, all right, time to add the depth of field. And it's like, oh yeah. And then you really feel like it's coming together,
And it's in the render.
You need to save that clip.
Yeah. It's a crazy nerd thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love depth of field, motion blur, all that kind of stuff. I directed this 2 episodes of this animated kids show years ago, and the joke was, and it was part of our production pipeline at the time in this company I had, but one of the jokes was, Harry loves his depth of field, and I do. There's just something about isolating a character against the background and having it blurred like the background is right here that I really like, because it focuses your attention. But to do it in camera in Octane has been so much fun, and it really actually impacted our pipeline here when we don't have to worry necessarily about doing Z-depth passes. We don't really have to worry about doing things like, after the fact motion blur and motion vectors and all that other stuff.
For sure. I mean,
they look better and they render really fast. Can't beat that.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your 2D department versus the 3D department. Because is the 2D ones, you mentioned, having to do all these passes and stuff, and I was thinking, so is everything done by the 3D people and then passed on to the 2D people?
You would think, but it's actually not. I mean, there are cases when it is, but whenever a project's originated in 3D, it sort of stays in 3D. They do the renders, they do the AOVs, they do the compositing. They generally do the compositing in Nuke unless there's a reason that they either have to share the project with 2D, which only has After Effects. They don't have Nuke.
Gotcha.
Or that there's some other plugin that they feel is going to really enhance it, so they want to do it in After Effects. The 2D department takes care of a lot of designing. There's a lot of pay-per-view intros and graphics and lower thirds and things that are done by the 2D department. And it doesn't. The weird thing is the 2D department doesn't only do 2D. They historically have also done cinema, and so that's where the 3D department was first introduced to it before I even started there, because the 2D department was using it for things that they just couldn't do in After Effects any other way.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there's a lot of After Effects, a lot of motion graphics that are done in the 2D department.
So tell us about the process of having to create these graphics on a schedule and being under the gun constantly like that. Like, how do you manage that kind of pipeline?
So everybody has everybody's cell phone number. I'm literally, as we're doing this, checking my cell phone just to see if it's lighting up at all. While
getting
I'm
texts from Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We're like this. So they, I came yesterday. I came in. It was Labor Day, but I came in because I thought, you know what? There's anything could go wrong at any point, and if they're going to call and I'm going to be, at home with the family, it's going to be hard for me to describe what they have to do. But if I'm there, maybe I can help out. And it turns out it actually was a good thing that I was there, because I spent almost 5 hours on something in Octane before figuring out what the problem was. So it's really a matter of like giving them support, being available as much as I can. I'm the only person that sort of floats between 2D and 3D that can solve these kind of issues. But then we have other issues that come up that are more generalized, either computer issues or connectivity or licensing issues. And that's what the rest of my colleagues in the post-production engineering department take care of. So like all of us together really tackle some of these things.
How often do you have to kind of go through an entire package? What's the, like, how often? I don't know how often, you guys. I don't really watch. So like how often do you have a show?
I mean, I would assume, okay, so me having, so they this is a hard question, like, because I'm assuming how far in advance do they know who's going to be wrestling that week or something? Because from what I understand, all the different wrestlers, they're all like kind of freelancers or contractors or something like that. And so there's not I don't know how to explain it. Like, how far in advance do you know these are the wrestlers that are going to be out there this week? This is the package that we need to do. We need to have all these graphics ready. This is who's going to win what, blah, blah, blah,
Right. The answer to that is it literally can change and does change at any point.
And
and it has changed as like close to the show as the day of the show in the past. So building a pipeline that's as flexible as possible so that something can be swapped out at the last minute,
for sure,
has been my number one priority. It's part of the reason that I brought Nuke into the facility, because prior to that, we were just After Effects, and there was an issue where when you have freelancers coming in, and
there's an issue of rendering with single cores. Go ahead.
That too. But you have, like, if you have a freelancer come in, they're not used to like the naming conventions, and they're not used to like where things are stored, and so there's a lot of time, and we're all like we're working on a clock that's ticking down to the premiere of a pay-per-view or a show, especially a live show. So we're saving time by going to Nuke, where you can read a node tree much faster than you can, like, diving into pre-comps and dealing with people not naming things correctly and all that. So that was sort of a huge help. But the other part of it is making things as standard as possible. And we're still working on that, making things standardized in terms of like the size that the picture of a wrestler is, in terms of like number of pixels.
Gotcha.
Because the wrestlers, as you said, not being available all the time, and they're sort of, I don't know how I would categorize them, but I don't know if they're freelancers or not, and that's not really up to me. But their accessibility is very limited.
Yeah.
And so taking pictures, I thought would have been the easiest thing. It turns out it's very hard to schedule. So sometimes we can't even get the same format for one wrestler versus another wrestler, and the shoot happens at different times in different cities. So, we can get it down to some degree of like I don't know, flexibility, but we still have to be able to accommodate stuff like that, like changing things or doubling, pixels, or taking something that somebody shot that was gigantic and like shrinking it down to something that's a usable size that won't crash the render farm.
Yeah.
Is it a weekly show? Is it weekly?
Yeah, there's two, is SmackDown and Raw. Right. Monday and Tuesday nights, right?
Right.
And then you guys have the pay-per-views. How often are the pay-per-views?
They're roughly anywhere from 1 to 2 a month.
Wow.
So yeah, there's quite a lot.
I was gonna say that must have changed since I was watching it back in high school, because it was like maybe every 6 to 8 weeks or something you'd get a pay-per-view. Yeah,
we're doing them more often now.
Especially, I would say, I guess, because of the subscription model that you guys are on, you have the ability to do that. Cool.
Yeah, we have a 24-hour TV network that we're supplying content to. So the graphics that are coming out of here are supporting not just the live shows and the pay-per-views, but there's also like stadium-only shows where they're not actually being broadcast at all. And then there's like...
Yeah, that's something that I was going to say, because when I went and saw, I think it was Raw, like a month ago or something, you don't realize how much is involved in the live like event as well. You've got everything. There's tons that you don't see on camera going on all around you in order to create this amazingly fun live show, And there's like LED panels
too.
There's LED panels all around the ring and stuff like that. And you've got people switching them out, live. It's crazy. There's a lot
another
involved.
Department too, or are you doing all the LED and all that stuff too?
No, we're doing a lot of that. There are things that are done that we're sometimes surprised about, that we didn't know anything about, but generally, we do graphics for the ring skirts. There's graphics that kind of go around the outside of the ring. If in our bigger pay-per-views, if there's like a walkway and it's made up of LED screens, we will do graphics for that walkway. And there's formats for not only every different type of display, but even different stadiums have different requirements. And so we have a list of what the requirements are for each of those stadiums.
Wow.
Yeah. I've had to do LED panels a lot, especially for those rings that go around.
Yep.
And that software is so antiquated. I don't know if you've ever had to mess with it, but it's usually just like really, really crappy old like Windows 98 type stuff. And
it feels like it would be really crappy. I mean, we've definitely butted up against doing some of those like super long but very like short aspect ratio things like that are going to go around rings or go around the perimeter. And interestingly, some video codecs don't handle strange aspect ratios like that very well or at all. So like that's been a learning curve right there.
Yeah. So another note you have here is about working on VFX in like a mid and low budget range compared to high budget.
Yeah, so that's definitely like that'd be like the things that I do as side jobs. I've been doing that for a long time, and I just think I've done some higher, and we're not talking like Marvel Universe level, but higher budget projects, and then medium and low budget. And I think that there's a lot to be said for the medium and low budget range when it comes to what you as an artist can get out of giving your time to it. And I don't mean giving your time away, but I mean spending your time. And that's what we're all doing, is spending part of our lives doing this stuff. And I personally like if I can contribute something to it, even if it's just something where I'm enhancing it in a way that maybe somebody didn't think about. And I find that mid-range and certainly lower budget projects are more open to that for good reason. And sort of the king of the low budget films for many years, still going, is Roger Corman, who I worked with a lot. And I started out in my career doing that. So maybe it's just me sort of going back to what I'm comfortable with and what I'm used to. But I've always enjoyed doing that kind of stuff. It always gives me the feeling of like running around with my friend Gatto, when we were teenagers, making films on film, making films on video. We had a TV show that was on local access channel, and it was the most fun because you sort of create on the fly, and you say, what if we could create this one thing? Wouldn't that be really cool? And it enhances what you're working on. And, for various reasons, large budget projects are not into that. And I also feel like now the software is letting us be more like, what if? I mean, that's a huge reason why I was attracted to Cinema 4D, because prior to that, Softimage, which I love, I still miss Softimage, especially Softimage Ice. They were more complicated, frankly. They're built for different pipelines from different eras. Certainly Maya is. Maya's definitely from a larger pipeline mentality, from an age that's sort of, we've evolved from a lot since Maya was introduced. And there's a lot of planning that is sort of built into something that you do in Maya, where in Cinema, it feels more interactive. Even if you have to go through the exact same steps, I feel like you can play more. Even if it's just moving the deformers around and saying, what if we did this? Or what if we instance this to that? And let's see what result we would get. I mean, I just find there's a lot of like creative like play that we can do. And no matter what we tell our wives or our spouses or husbands, I mean, I always feel like this is play. What we do is play, because I enjoy it.
Yeah. I've had a lot of conversations with people about that lately. It's doing what you love as a hobby and as a job, and especially if you're working for yourself. It's just it's all day, like Cinema 4D all day. Yep.
Every single day.
Every single day.
There was a short project that I worked on for a feature film called We Only Know So Much, which is going to come out pretty soon. I'll let you guys know when it comes out. But the director, Donal Ward, was very willing to let me like sort of play around and come up with some interesting graphics. There's a section in there where it has to look like some kids are playing a video game. And for rights reasons, I had to create graphics that looked like they were playing some kind of video game. So Cinema was the perfect thing with like Mixamo and a bunch of other things to throw in there just to create some kind of scenario. But it's also like you get to do things like I got to kill a character, enhance the acting by freezing the character, the actor, so that you don't see the breathing, but then sort of bringing back other aspects. Like the wind was slightly blowing through his hair, so you didn't want to do a freeze frame, but you wanted to sort of freeze like the chest from moving up and down and from the eyes from fluttering. And I just love that you can sort of enhance the performance, like not in a George Lucas kind of creepy way where you take the head of one take and the body of another, but like you just you make it better than it could have been on set. I love that part of it. Yeah, and I feel like you can do that. You can do that in mid and low budget, and not even tell anybody. Just say, "Hey, look, I tried this. What do you think of this?" Because you're on sort of a more lax schedule.
Oh, we do have a question from the chat, and I think since you're on the inside, you might be able to actually answer this. Do you know exactly what The Rock is cooking?
I have not smelled it or tasted it, so I'm not really sure. But I hear it's really good.
Have you gotten to meet all of them?
Yeah.
No, I have not, and I, I'm sure they've got lots of fans coming up, so I would never want to go up and sort of bother them and take any of them. They're probably so inundated with fans. Somebody that's a coworker coming up and doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, just in passing, like just in working, have you met some of them?
Yeah, I've seen them. I've like said hi in passing, walking by, but never gone up and like had a conversation. I've definitely
no fanboying.
Yeah, right. And I could, especially on some of the older, the older wrestlers, like the Hall of Famers. I definitely would. I used to watch it a lot when I was younger. So some of the wrestlers that no longer are actively wrestling, do still come in here, and they may have projects going on. I'm not really sure what they're doing, but they come in here every once in a while, and it is that kind of fanboy thing where like I'm up on the second floor where my office is, and I can kind of look down over the stairway to
there's Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't Hulk Hogan, but I've had moments where I'm like, oh wow, look who's down there. So like that's kind of cool to be in Connecticut and have that feeling where you're not like in some other metropolitan area.
Who's your favorite wrestler?
I would say now it's Undertaker. Just because he's so theatrical and really cool.
Man, I was so happy I got to see him when he came to Dallas. When they came to Dallas,
I didn't know he was there that night.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah. Like I had no idea. Like it was so exciting because when I was watching wrestling in high school, like I loved The Undertaker. Like it was Undertaker, Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock. Like they were the big ones, right? And when I went to WrestleMania 17, I think it was, in Houston, and like I got to see them live and stuff like that. But to like, currently go to one of these shows and actually have The Undertaker there, like it was so awesome. Like my heart was beating so fast. I was like, yes, I can't believe I get to be here for this.
What did the bong sound like when his music started? Like did people go completely nuts when
I think so. I don't know. I've actually got a recording of it because I was on my phone. I was recording because I wanted to see it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I just, there's something about the whole storyline of him and the character being sort of like, undead and just ties into my whole love of horror films and fantasy and all that. And back in the day when I used to watch it when I was younger, I loved Roddy Piper. I thought he was really funny, and I watched him try to move into sort of like film, like with the movie They Live, which if you've never seen it, you definitely should see it. He was really cool in that. But I think if I saw Undertaker, I would have a hard time. Like if I physically saw him, I'd have a hard time not fanboying. So
yeah,
when I was on the road and we were doing things like concert tours and things like that, we had a term for it, and I wish I knew where this came from. But fanboying somebody was called being a germ. People would be like, don't be a germ. I have no idea where that came from. And maybe it stands for something, but it's like an industry thing when you're concert touring. Because like one time we were doing a kind of a mixed speaking / concert type thing, and Dr. Phil's wife was there.
Oh.
And the whole secret was that, she was like, oh, he's not actually here. And then at the end, of course, he comes to walk her out like she does for him on his show. But he's standing there like next to me the whole time, kind of like over my shoulder. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's kind of nerve wracking because Dr. Phil is just sitting right here.
Right.
And somebody that was working with was just like, hey, Dr. Phil, can I get a selfie with you? We're like, oh my gosh, dude, don't be a germ. Giving him a hard time. And like,
so how do you spell that? Is it like GIRM or something?
I think it's GERM.
See, that's germ.
Germ. Right. Yeah, I know. I wish I knew where that came from.
Or maybe it's GURM. That would.
I really hope it's not like some really like derogatory term or something. Right. So
well, whatever. I didn't actually.
We
say
don't know.
So, yeah. So I wanted to
GURM.
What?
Okay, it's on Urban Dictionary.
What does it stand for?
Where is it? Hold on. Jeez, stop.
Is it actually the term that I'm speaking of?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah, I think so. An irritating, overzealous fan. A fan that will not stop being a fan. Oh, a term originally created in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, see, that makes sense. That's where everybody was from.
A fan that will not stop at simply being a fan of the music. They must also try to find a way to be involved in your life somehow. A fan that talks their way backstage and has convinced themselves that the artist band really likes them and wants them around.
Yeah.
So somebody dangerous, you're basically talking about.
Yeah, right? That's funny. GURM. Okay, good.
Well, I wanted to switch gears for a second. I wanted to talk about this Shaq thing for a minute and to get
Shaq.
Oh, Shaq. Now, this week, if you hadn't heard, there was a Twitter post from Shaq, and there was a video about how him, along with, I think...
TBS.
TBS and TNT or TN. No,
I don't know.
One of the other networks. They were going to do this contest, and he said he's going to make you famous because you're going to make you famous. Long stories off the internet in maybe like waveform or MP3 or something, and animate an entire animation to that. And if you win, check this out. You get $500.
$500,
and you're going to be famous because people are going to see your animation, and somehow they're going to know it's you and look you up and give you a bunch of work.
Now, keep in mind, $500. Keep that number in mind,
right?
Because as we progress through this story, you're going to find out how ridiculous that initial $500 was. Go ahead, Dave.
Because first of all, he posts this, and every animator on the planet is like, "What in the actual hell are you talking about?"
It's like, that is not even a day rate, you know? Right. That is not even 1 day for me.
And to make things worse, they had produced a whole video with animations and different styles of animation in it. And it's like, how much did they pay for that?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah.
So everybody's giving him a hard time. I even did this little post of him missing a free throw. You took a shot at him.
Oh man, that was my favorite. I loved my tweet.
Here's the thing though. You know, there's all these for the exposure things, and we even got caught up in it mistakenly at one point because everybody was asking us for the template for Dead Mouse because they wanted to just mess around with it. And then when we put it out there, everybody's like, "Oh, you just want stuff for the exposure." It's like, no, we don't want anything from you. Yeah, we're just getting people who are asking because they just like to mess around with it. But when it comes down to like a contest on the internet, we do an animation contest. It's an animation contest. That's the whole entire point. Yeah, you know, and there's prizes. We gave out a prize to every single person who entered our contest. You know, I think we spent more money than Shaq did on that video.
Yeah,
you know,
we did.
And so, but this is different. This is a commercial television production that is
this
looking
is a television
for free work.
production who's looking for free work.
And that's the thing. They're profiting off of it. They have money. I mean, I'm pretty sure Shaq has some money, you know. Last time I checked. Yeah. And these stations have money.
They pay him $500 every time he does the general ad.
Right. Yeah, oh gosh. Yeah. Right. Now, here's the thing. I feel like it still is kind of this whole for the exposure. You know, there's a lot of people that might do this and not get anything out of it because they won't win. But I do have to give props because the next day he came back and said, "Animators, we heard you. We are now changing it from $500 to
$10,000. And someone in the Slack, someone in the Slack or something mentioned like, so that's how much money you had initially? Why wasn't the budget initially that? Why would you have to lowball us so much? Right. You know, that's a ridiculous, like, what is that? A 20 times, you know, 20 time increase?
Right. Yeah.
All right.
It's not the only, it's not the first time I've ever heard this kind of thing. And for some reason, it's always seems to be $500. I mean, I think Shaq is like the most egregious of the times that I've seen it happen. Like he's the most famous. People associate a lot of money. You know, he made a lot of money. I highly doubt like he's spending any of his own money anyway. Right. And he shouldn't be. You know, that you never do when you do productions, but he's money in a lot of people's eyes. Like he's associated with a lot of money in his contracts. And so somebody should have thought about that right from the beginning. But all you have to do is search pretty easily on Google to find out what rates are, and you would have never hit $500.
And obviously, it's not him personally.
Right.
It's a PR company and all of this. And
Shaq has a net worth of $400 million.
Right. And of course, there are budgets. I understand that there are budgets. It doesn't matter how much money he has personally.
Right.
Somebody is producing this. Somebody has their own budget at a network somewhere. But have those people never purchased an animation before? Surely they know how this works. And somebody made that decision. Somebody probably got in trouble after the fact. You know, and he's got to take the hit for that. But it just feels like it almost feels like it was done on purpose, because I don't feel like the people who are putting that together, who just paid the bill for the animation that they had to do for the video, they knew how much animation costs, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did.
So I hope they learned their lesson. It's still up there, the original post and everything. It's hilarious to go see some of the.
Yeah. Are you going to read off any of the comments?
Yeah, I do have some I could probably bring up here. Yours, what was yours? You can tell.
Mine was expecting an animator to do a full blown animation for $500 would be like Shaq hitting a free throw. It's just not going to happen.
Zing! I've seen him miss a lot of free throws.
Yes.
Let's see. Who else? EJ. I know EJ's the reason I saw it in the first place, because EJ had something to say about it.
Matt was the reason I saw it, actually.
Yeah, I saw it. I can't remember who posted it, who commented it on mine.
Let's see here. I'll bring some of them up here. I've got. So here's the initial, and I think it's funny because the first two comments it's Hello Luck saying $500. Are you kidding? Show some respect. Pride Pixels. James, who will be on the show next week, says, "Hey Shaq, if you come and wash my car, house, and cat, I'll give you $35. Deal?"
That one was my favorite one.
Yeah, that's very good.
You've got a lot of memes. You know, you got Penny. Is this economy? I wish I don't think I have the one with Bugs Bunny. I'm just looking through some of these. You know, pay people for their work. I hope you get 0 submissions. Would you do that amount of work for $500? Lots of SpongeBob memes.
So here's the question, though. Now this brings up an interesting question. So if the original one had been $10,000, like, would you consider like submitting? You know, because there's still some people. I don't know what that was, but it's funny.
These are great. Yeah.
There are still some people who were upset about the terms of service. Basically, it said anyone who entered, you know, you lose the rights to that animation, and you're not allowed to post it on social network until it airs, you know, or something like that. So it's like sure, you're not going to be able to appease anyone, but I think the $10,000, like, I've done spec work under NDA that I can't show to anybody for less than $10,000, you know? Yeah. So for me, it's like, but then again, that's only saying that's if you get chosen, you know?
Here's the thing. I feel like if you don't get chosen, you should be able to use that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I mean, what's going to stop you from using it, you know?
Right. Well, because
are they going to come after you and say, "Oh, you posted this online"?
Well, you're using their copyrighted audio.
All right, whatever.
Right, because he's telling his story. I think if you posted it without, of course, that's still his likeness. I don't know the legality of it, but I do know that there is some CYA that you have to do in that situation. When we posted the stuff for Deadmau5, we had to say, okay, he might use it. And if he uses it, you can't come back and say, hey, that was mine and you didn't pay me for it. You have to CYA a little bit in those things. And so that is understandable. My question, like you asked, like if it was $10,000 initially, do you think that there would still be people upset about it, about the whole free aspect of it?
I think there would be less people upset about it. They would be more upset about the terms of service versus the actual money that was involved. Because $10,000, that's a good amount of money, you know? Yeah.
Right.
That's a very good amount of money, especially for that
like the Deadmau5 thing. The reason people wanted to do that for Deadmau5, and they asked us for dude, give me the template. I totally want to mess around with it and do something, is because they were Deadmau5 fans. Right. And if you got some time, you got nothing else to do, you got this thing. If you're a big Shaq fan and you're an animator and you're like, hey, I'm not doing much this week, I'll mess around with this for the chance at $10,000. It's not necessarily that bad of a thing. It's the whole concept of give us free work.
Right. Here's a question. Upset. Like, has anyone actually looked at how long these videos are that he's wanting to do?
No, I haven't looked. I was wondering.
Because who knows? It could be like 3 minutes. You know,
but a 3-minute story animated is a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, unless you're using stick figures or something, I guess.
Download a story. Oh, you have to actually. Oh, that's stupid.
You gotta sign up and all that.
You gotta
right?
sign in and, fill out the form below to access 13 different true stories from Shaq.
I mean, the longer it is, the more ridiculous the $500 would have been.
Right.
Yeah. It's a 30-minute short for $500.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, we did a little bit of 2D animation for somebody's song that was like 4 or 5 minutes long, and it was...
That's a lot of work.
It was not even good animation. Like, it wasn't top-level animation because it was on a budget.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, here's what we can do for this budget. And it still took a really long time.
Okay.
You know?
Here's the thing. I'm looking at them.
Okay.
44 seconds. 36 seconds. 38 seconds.
That's still a lot of time.
39.
Man.
Yes, but still, for $10,000, you know?
Right.
For, like, if it was 5 minutes, the $10,000 may be iffy, but the shortest one is 34 seconds. And that's not too bad. That's not too bad, you know?
Yeah.
Right, especially if you're using something like a character animator, Adobe Character Animator, where you're just sort of puppet, you're doing like some puppeteering of stuff. Right. I could see that being okay, but I don't see any way that 500 would have worked for any of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, I wanted to move on to another quick topic. We don't have to dwell too long on this, but again, I wanted to bring up this topic of people stealing work. Because again this week, somebody stole David Ariev's work, and it gets super deep. It gets and here's the thing, I was actually pretty proud of our Slack because as soon as it hit, we're like, "Hey, everybody in Slack, this person is stealing David Ariev's work," and everybody's like, "What the hell, man? Why are you stealing work?" And he took it down.
I would like to say that I am personally responsible for it getting taken down. Because I made sure to comment on every single comment on Instagram saying, "This is David Ariev's work. Don't support people who steal."
Nice.
Now here's the problem: is that this person got the work from a place that was offering David Ariev's work as free stock video.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they took it down right away. And then it turns out that there's a YouTube channel, Chinese YouTube channel or whatever it is, and they're giving all this quote unquote free stuff away. And, it's just really interesting to see how these channels and how these different, even if it's different artists and not necessarily like stock like this, how they're stealing this material. Number one, how hard it is. Luckily this guy took this down on Instagram himself. If he didn't, and it had to be pursued, it's a long process. Look what happened with Jan, how it took a long time to get that stuff taken down. And what do these people really have to gain? Like 100 followers or something? And it intrigues me on this level of what drives these people to chronically steal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just going to steal artwork every single day. Why is it okay to them? Why morally does it feel okay? Why do they think they're not going to get caught? What do they have to gain? Why is this like their way of life? It's not just like one time. It's the chronic stealing. Are these farms of people? I just don't understand the reason for it.
I mean, it's easy way to make money, China doesn't. I don't think China has any like copyright law or anything like that against stealing other countries' stuff. It's like they can steal whoever they want and resell it. Repackage
but they're not even selling it. Here's the thing: I start a brand new YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I go steal a bunch of people's artwork, and I put it up, and I say, "Hey guys, this is free." How do I profit off of that?
Yeah, I don't know.
What do I plan to do? Okay, so let's say I gain some followers. What do I plan to do with that? Let's say I steal a bunch of stuff and put it on Instagram. Okay, all right, I got 10,000 followers from doing that. What am I going to do with this account now? And I guess there's got to be a reason if so many people are doing it, but I'm just trying to figure out why. I don't know.
What happens when and if somebody says, "Your work is amazing. We want you to do this project for us," and you can't deliver, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like a Digital Castaway says, depending on the channel, they can get ad revenue.
Yeah.
But how much do you really get? Because we know you got to have like 1 million subscribers on YouTube to really start making a living off of it. People will do that, and then they'll get hit with the copyright infringement thing, and then all of those royalties goes to the original owner.
Sometimes they've already cashed out. They're gone.
Yeah. That's true. And Tesla Rock says there's, $10 goes a lot further in other countries that are doing that are farming this out, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like a lot of work. But anyway, I don't have any more to say about that, but
that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Let's go to some links.
Dave's links.
So number 1, I already talked about, and that's Alchemist. If you haven't checked out Alchemist, check that out. Give it a try. Give it a little free beta test. I think you'll be impressed. And the other one, I think this was G-Rant that posted this actually on Facebook, and it's a animation called The Egg. And so I'm going to put the link in there. It's kind of a philosophical, like, crazy look at, heaven and the universe and the soul and all of that, but it's beautifully animated. So, yeah.
One of my daughters thinks my head looks like an egg, so anything egg related, like, I'm all there for.
Yeah, that's all I got. I think we should do some Beeple's People.
Beeple's People, where'd you get that Greeble? Beeple's People, what's up with that guy?
All right. I don't need to pee today.
Okay,
right
good.
Before the show.
Because I always feel like I have questions for you, and then you're not here, and we end up waiting for you to pee.
Sorry.
Oh man,
Are you you're just trying to say that I'm the most creative of the two? So, I appreciate you saying that and not so many words.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Now, take out your Beeple viewer of choice. For me, this is Twitter, and go to August 27th, Year Overlord 2019, and this one is called Feeding Time.
Love it.
Oh man. So,
do you have the animation of this one as well?
I will. Yeah, I'll bring up the animation of this as well. This is a robot Hillary Clinton, and she's holding a baby with a Trump head, and she has a tube coming out of her
crotchal area,
as they would say on the South Park episode, sniz. And it's coming out, and it's going into his mouth. So there's been all this like Trump Hillary stuff in his work lately, and I'm like trying to figure out like what is the
he was on
meaning?
he was actually on the he was on the front page of Reddit if you follow the subreddit.
Oh, my buddy actually on Facebook that I went to high school with posted the one where Hillary was in his stomach, and it was like, what in the world is this? It's going beyond just the Mograph world, which it has many times before, but it's amazing to see like just random friends posting people stuff and they have no idea the background or anything else, Now the animated version of this, we'll take a look here, bring this up. It always plays the dang audio. There we go.
The darn audio.
The same thing, but the head is rotating, and then it's Kanye West.
And I love that she's holding a Buzz Lightyear action figure.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Dude.
That's funny.
Buzz Lightyear. I think Buzz Lightyear is going to become like the new alien in South Park, where it's in every episode,
There's an alien in South Park?
There's an alien in every episode. You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they put the alien in every episode.
Is it the alien from the first episode?
Yes. Yeah, the little skinny one or whatever. Yeah, it's in every episode.
I
can't believe you didn't know that.
No.
That's funny.
Oh, okay. All right, let's go to the next one. This is August 30th. This is called Buzz Tigbitties. If you look at it, you'll know why.
I think he's just incrementally making this worse so that like it's like, all right, Mograph.com podcast. Let's see what you will actually not put on your show.
Yeah.
This is sexy Buzz Lightyear, I guess.
Stupid sexy Buzz Lightyear.
Sexy Buzz Lightyear. Yeah. It looks like he's wearing nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
So there's a video version of this too.
Yeah.
And
come on, Mike.
He's got a package.
Yes.
It's moving, and I'm like, what is going on here? What in the world is going on?
I mean, it's well done, you know.
It is very well done.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
But what is the purpose of? Oh man, that's I don't know.
It's like funny because he'll have like, you know, like if you look at this past week or whatever, it's political one, Buzz Lightyear one, you know, just a random, you know, typical people, and then political one. It's like, all right.
Yeah. And then you've got.
I really like his tune shading stuff that he's been doing the last few days.
Yeah.
With,
Yeah.
And the last one is called Hillraiser versus the Bernie Bots.
The Bernie Bots or the Bernie Bros?
I'm sorry, the Bernie Bros. I thought it said Bernie Bots. The Bernie Bros. Are they all? It's hard to tell. Do they all have a Bernie face?
I don't know.
I
don't know. It'd be cool if like you could see like their gray hair and stuff, you know. But
I hope I don't know. Someone like Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren should hire him specifically to do some art. Like I feel like back when it was who was it? It was Obama and who was up against him the first time? John McCain, I believe. You know, I felt like I saw a big like surge of pro-Obama online like memes and stuff like that. And I think, you know, I think Bernie or Elizabeth Warren should hire him to do some pro-Democrat stuff with whoever gets the Democratic nomination.
That would be really funny.
Yeah. But if it's Biden, who gives a crap? That guy's so vanilla.
You bringing politics into the show.
Sorry.
Oh, man. Well, I don't know what to say about this one. All the political ones, I'm like, yep, there it is.
There it is.
You know?
Yep, that's really all you got to say. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, all these are different, you know, parts of the Beeple world, the different people, you know?
Yeah.
There's not really much to say.
Upside down crucifix. That's quite a statement right there.
Well, I guess maybe this is all right. So to bring it into the storyline, maybe he's focused entirely on one specific planet nowadays. You know, like this whole adventure or whatever, or maybe this is the reason the planet has gone to crap, that we must find our own. You know, a new one is because you've got, you know, baby Robo-Trump and Hillary, you know, Borg, and the Bernie Bros are the ones fighting, you know, all these people, you know.
I think one of the things sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you know how crazy it is that it sounds natural when you say robot baby Trump, or like, I'm almost like, oh yeah, that's really a thing.
Yeah, like you do. Yeah,
like you do.
No big deal. The thing is that you got to remember how far this is in the future, right? And so Earth is most likely gone at this point, I feel. And what's going on in the universe, in the Beepleverse, is that you're going through all these portals. Beeple and his people have been going through these portals to find a planet they can inhabit like Earth, and they've been terraforming and all of this stuff, and Earth has been gone for so long that certain things at this point are are mythology, right? You've heard of Buzz Lightyear, but it's evolved. Like, you don't even, maybe they don't even know what the original Buzz Lightyear is. Nobody knows even where the original Earth was, because it's not there anymore. They had to go through these portals and it's gone. So it's all mythology. You hear about Greek mythology and we hear all of these stories, and you don't know really what the original stories were, or if they had. I mean, who knows? Who even knows if people know what Disney was? They just know what Buzz Lightyear is. It's this thing, and there's these action figures some people have, and they've made up their own stories over the years, and it's become something where it's not even like, they don't even realize it was a child's story anymore. I think that's the whole thing. You know?
So now it's a sexy robot with a package?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
That was Beeple's People. So is there like a BCU, like a Beeple Cinematic Universe, or
I like that.
I believe so.
Okay.
I like that.
I believe so. It seems like that's the case.
In the BCU.
Like the Beepleverse.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's move on to our next segment. This is called Mograph Recommends. And
yay.
I wanted to
now I need to pee.
Go through this
what
list.
What the heck?
All right.
I'll
well,
wait.
I'll
wait.
You can pee.
All right. I'll be right back.
Hurry up now. Go on now. All right. We'll start with your favorite movie.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Really? That was quick.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, when you said your favorite, I was already thinking movie Raiders of the Lost Ark.
All right. Cool. All right. And what about music?
What about you?
Me? Oh, I talk about mine all the time.
Yeah, but I don't remember because, I'm almost 52, so I can't remember stuff like that. What is your favorite movie?
It changes. I mean, I have a few. The one I would put out there would be Fifth Element. Love Fifth Element.
That's a good film. Yeah.
And if you want to go cinematic, Cinema Paradiso, that's a good one.
That's very good.
You haven't seen that one.
Yeah, excellent.
And what about music?
I have like a lot of ties to, I think a lot of people have a lot of ties to like what they listened to in high school. So based on my age, it's like Van Halen, and I like upbeat music, upbeat rock music. But kind of counter to that is some of the stuff from like Ireland. Sometimes is a little bleak, but I really like it. But I'm really more into like the upbeat stuff, like the Go-Go's and Van Halen, and I like some Rush and things like that. But it's pretty much stuck in the 70s, 80s, maybe a little bit of the 90s, but mostly 70s and 80s.
And is it the same stuff that you listen to if you're working or in the car, pretty much, or do you have like something different you listen to when you work?
Well, when I'm in the car, I listen to podcasts like only. Yours.
Okay. Yeah.
I listen to. I have like a whole. I can never listen to all the podcasts that I have.
Go Gorilla.
Love
that one.
Absolutely, love that.
You've been on that one a couple times.
Yeah, and they're really good people. Paul and Sashia are really good people. But when it comes to music and I'm working, I tend to listen to soundtracks to either games or films that are sort of like inspiring. Often they're like kind of epic. They tend to keep me awake, especially if I'm doing freelance work and it's late at night. I listen to the music that I like to listen to for fun when I'm, like when it's a nice like fall day and I've got like the window down and I'm driving or something like that. That's probably the only time I'll listen to something like that, or when I'm like bopping around in the kitchen making something for the kids to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, along the lines of what you were saying with you listen to things that you listened to in high school, I think one of the things, and I might have touched on this once or twice in the past, I think one of the things with rap music and people like our parents, for example, not really understanding rap music is there was no rap music to be reminiscent of, So when rap music came around, it's like I'm very reminiscent now and I hear old school rap. Now you hear oldie station playing old school rap. If you hear like Baby Got Back, for example. Like when that came out, my mom was like, what is going on? Like, this is awful. Like, this is garbage. And now it's like classic, right? Somebody plays it.
It's still like, kind of garbage.
It is still kind of garbage, but like it's a classic now. You've got these
classic garbage.
Right, classic garbage.
Like anything that Matchbox 20 did.
So when I hear, so I guess one of the things that took me a while is to come back around to some of the new music that's coming out, and I still don't like all of it. I'm not a Kanye fan, and I know a lot of people are for some reason.
I like Kanye. I like the music. I don't like him as a person. I think he's a terrible person.
I came around back to trap music a little bit, I guess, when we started doing a little work back in the day for Barton, and we were up there, and there was all this kind of new music playing that I hadn't heard before. I started getting interested in it and whatnot. And somebody that I came across, because I was listening to like a radio station based on what I listened to, and I had just heard of this person the other day, was Travis Scott. And he's been around. I just haven't heard of him. And I did not realize the popularity of Travis Scott. And so I actually have the next day after I found this one particular song that sounds like 3 songs in one. I was on Netflix, and there was this new documentary on Netflix about Travis Scott. And it instantly hooked me because it's a documentary, but there is no voiceover. They have so much footage that all of this footage and all of this stuff is telling a story. And I was floored at how many people go to these shows. And I was floored at his style and who he is and what he does. And I would definitely recommend going to watch this. Even if you're not into this type of music, you will be sucked in instantly to this documentary. I think it was so well done, because if you can do a documentary that's a narrative on someone's a portion of someone's life or their whole life, and you have not a lick of voiceover for the whole thing, you've done a really good job. So
those are my favorite types of documentaries, the one that don't have voiceovers. I feel like the people speaking for themselves, the witnesses or the people involved in that person's life are the best people to tell that story. And it's much more interesting when it's woven together into a narrative by them than by a narrator.
All right.
Have y'all seen the new Dave Chappelle stand-up?
Yes.
No.
I have.
It's pretty, I don't know. It's all right.
I mean, he did make a good comment that when they're practicing for school shooter drills, the school shooter is in the drill and he knows how they're going to respond. I think that's a pretty good point.
Yeah.
But along that line, speaking of which, what is your favorite TV show?
So right now, that changes. I mean, I feel like TV right now is where film was for me when I was much younger. It's like everything when it comes to entertainment now. So it's really like, what do I have like the capacity and time to sit there and watch all the way through? I'm watching actually based on Sashia's from Go Gorilla, her recommendation, Wentworth, which is from New Zealand. It's a women's prison show. I think it's 7 seasons now, and it's just really good. Really like changes all the time. Every episode sort of like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. And when you say women's prison, you immediately think of Orange is the New Black. But she said it best when she described it on the Go Gorilla podcast. She said, it's like Orange is the New Black if it was good. Like it's really, really good. So I've been watching that, but I have so many shows that I have in my queue. I'll never get to them. But I feel like television is just everything in terms of entertainment now.
I last night me and my wife were trying to figure out what to watch because we were going through Breaking Bad, and right before Ozymandias or whatever, the one of the best episodes ever on TV, she's like, I don't really like this show anymore. It's like, okay, well, let's just stop watching. Let's find something else. So,
oh man,
yeah, I know, right?
You gotta finish it.
That's what I said. She's like, no, I just don't care. Sometimes if you're reading a good book and you just don't like it, it's okay to put it down. So we went through 4.5, almost 5 seasons, and anyway, so But I watched Atlanta last night. Have y'all seen Atlanta?
I've seen the whole thing. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Like there has been very few shows where it was just like I watched the pilot and I am instantly hooked. And Atlanta was one of those shows. It had the perfect amount of like drama and comedy, and it was just so dang good.
Childish Gambino's talented, yo.
I hate his music, but man, he writes a good story.
Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah.
Are they in the third season yet?
It comes out in 2020.
Okay.
From what Hulu says. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's two seasons. We went through like 3 or 4 episodes last night, and I was just like, I just want to keep watching.
Oh yeah,
I have to get to sleep.
I find that my best recommendations come from other people who have the same sensibility that I do. I mean, frankly, the recommendations that have been almost 100% have come from Sashia, and like Derek. Have either of you watched Derek from Rick and
Have
Morty
watched Derek, yeah.
I loved that. I thought that was really good, really funny and emotional. Also the one, I can't remember what it's called, but Afterlife, maybe? The one that just came out pretty recently where he plays somebody that is mourning the loss of his wife. That was really well done. It's probably in the last like 3 or 4 months, I would say, that it came out. But I find that there's so much content out there that like just like narrowing it down by genre is like not enough anymore. So like I really have to like find somebody that says, "Oh, I watched this. I know what you like. You would like this."
Right.
So far, that's been working.
Right. Well, we already talked about podcasts, I think, right? So.
Well, yeah. I mean, I listen to you guys, Go Gorilla, but also lots of other podcasts like true crime podcasts, and I could go through my list and it would take like probably 5 or 10 minutes to go through the whole list. There's just so many. In fact, I often have to clear them out when I'm trying to take pictures or video on my phone because I'm running out because I have so many podcasts. But I like things where I can learn something, and it keeps my mind active. And I end up driving a lot. Sometimes, like when I was taking my kids to camp, it'd be 5 hours one way, and then I drop them off, turn around, and come back. So I'd be doing a 10-hour a day in the car. You have to have a lot of podcasts for something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Or you accidentally leave your keys, or the what is it? The oh gosh, what was it? The valet person takes your keys.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That happened in New York, for those who don't know. Yeah, that happened to me, and they ended up having to drive me back home to Connecticut, and then come back the next day and get me. That's so funny.
Yeah,
man, I had valet lose my truck keys one time. It was awful. It was awful. Somebody took them home. Somebody put them in their pocket and took them home. Went to bed, and then they couldn't call and wake the guy up because he had just gotten home from a 12-hour shift and was just out.
Yeah,
you know. God, it was awful. So, plugin. What is your favorite plugin?
So, technically, I guess you could say it's Octane, but getting away from renderers, I would say Forester. I really love Forester. I think I've used it a lot. I think you can do a lot with it. And it's one of the only plugins that I've ever seen that actually started out in Softimage first and then transitioned to Cinema 4D. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even know that.
The one for Softimage. I think he did I know he did for a while. I think he may still be selling it for that. But I mean, there's no other way that I can think of doing some of the things I can do in Forester. So I always go back to that one and play around with that one a lot.
Cool. And then headphones. Do you have, besides the ones you're wearing, the iPod headphones, do you have a major brand you like?
I would say that I don't like any other brand, but these right here, these Sony ones, these are studio monitor ones. I use these every day. I end up looking like, I'm piloting a warship from 1956 or something like that when they're on my bald head. But the sound is really good on them. With the
curly wire on it.
Yeah, right.
Like the old telephone cable.
Yep.
The ones that
and the earpads that always fall apart.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mine That's exactly what they are, yeah.
Yeah, mine have none of that left at this point. It's all flecked off.
these are almost 4 years old and they have not flexed at all, which I'm shocked
Lucky
about because
you.
every single person that sees them mentions that it comes off on their ears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe that's because the ones you have are the slightly more expensive ones, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
This is like the $15 special.
Oh.
So.
I got these through work, so these are probably more expensive. Yeah.
And then website or Chrome extension or app. We've been saying app recently because I think that's a little bit easier nowadays.
I've been really into Google. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll look it up while I'm telling you about it. Google has, I think is this by Google? It's called PhotoScan. It might not be Google's version, but it's pretty good at scanning in and automatically cropping receipts and things like that. It's really boring, but I've got so many receipts I have to scan in. So that's made my life easier. And I would say, apps kind of come and go. Like I haven't found one app that I've except with the exception of Downcast, which is what I use for my podcasting, like listening to podcasts. I don't think I've stuck with like one app. I'm usually like just really interested in whatever's new out there, and I'll be really fickle and just jump to another app if it looks like it's better for something.
Cool. And then lastly, the hard one. What is your favorite life hack?
Yeah, that is a hard one. I wouldn't say that I have one in particular, but I do enjoy. I sort of like enjoy like the knowing ahead of time how to get somewhere, and then like when the event that I'm going to is actually happening and everybody's rushed, I've already got my route kind of planned out, and I'm less stressed that way. I love this isn't really a life hack, but I love the ability to sort of reroute Google and grab the line, at least when you're on a desktop, and reroute it because I know it's a better way to go.
Yep.
That to me has saved me so much, and just using Google Assistant alone, even though I have an iPhone, I use Google Assistant, and I find it's more accurate and reroutes me whenever I want to, and I end up getting there within 2 or 3 minutes of when it says I will. So I'm all about the driving. I do a lot of driving.
Yeah, I've got
I hate
Siri,
driving.
of course, and I always use the Amazon Echo and Google stuff instead.
Yeah, I like the Google stuff, and I use the Echo for my shopping list. Anytime I'm cooking lunch or dinner or something like that, and I need some. That's the only thing I use it for. And timers. It's the best kitchen assistant you can buy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never used. We have Google Home. I've never used it for cooking, but I can imagine that the Amazon would be good for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to say our goodbyes, and then we're going to play this interview we did with the captain, so that people can learn about Nodefest. So, if people want to find you online, where can they find you at?
My website is theafterimage.com. So it's unfortunately got the word "the" in it, so the after. And
you want how you make $1 million?
Yeah,
just get rid of the.
Yeah, it's almost that much money to buy the one that doesn't have the in
That's
it.
Funny,
right?
So that's like my main website. Doesn't get updated so much because I obviously can't put work stuff on there.
Of course,
so it's just freelance. But I'm also on Instagram. It's my first name and last name with a dot in the middle, so it's Perry.Harovas. Those are the two places that I spend most of my time. And on Instagram, it's all photography. It's I don't think now I have any CG up there. I love photography. I've always been into it, so I tend to do a lot of photography and post it up there and try to get some feedback.
Cool. Well, we appreciate you being on. We can't wait to hang out with you in New York. That's going to be
same here, guys.
Before you know it,
Yeah.
It's going to be a blink of an eye, and we'll be up there, and hopefully it will be.
It's so true.
Yeah, it's like a month and a few days away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
All right. We'll see you later.
All right.
Joining us, we're super excited to have Jimmy Cohen from Yes Captain, also in charge of Nodefest. Welcome to the show, Jimmy.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for squeezing me into your busy schedule.
It's all good. I'm glad we were just able to meet up because it's like 7:30 here, and it's what
10:30 a.m. here on a Friday
10:30
morning.
a.m. Right? Yeah, exactly.
Freezing
future.
cold.
It's in the future.
The
distant future. The year 2000.
I can tell you what happens. You don't need a sports almanac.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sweet.
Yeah, what stupid thing does Trump do tomorrow?
No, we got some stonks. You got to tell me about your stonks so I can invest.
Stonks?
Reddit calls stocks stonks.
Okay,
I don't know why.
Yeah.
You got to tell me what to invest in. That's the big thing.
Man, I don't know what to invest in. Beer, fried chicken.
Yeah.
I don't own any shares.
Maybe fried chicken. I don't know. They're getting that vegetarian chicken at KFC.
Oh, I heard there was a big lineup for that.
Oh, no.
Really?
It was the Popeyes sandwich. The Popeyes chicken sandwich. Everyone's been talking about that, dude. It's yeah, I actually, so like I heard all this. So I went and checked out Popeyes and I was like, can I get a chicken sandwich, please? And she was like, I'm sorry, we're out of chicken. I'm like, you're Popeyes and you've run out of chicken.
Wow.
Whoops. Yeah.
And all my time in fast food, the number one thing, you never run out of food.
No, it's like a whorehouse running out of condoms. That's crazy. It was on the news here the other day that KFC somewhere in America started the vegan KFC.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, they're doing Impossible Meat.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
it's just like
crazy.
Cheating on your wife with your best friends. I don't know. That's just
it's all fried, but at least it's vegan.
Yeah.
Right.
You're gonna have to come over and visit us and try all this crazy food.
Yeah.
Maybe NAB next year.
Yeah, we'll take you to all the crappy fast food American fast food places.
That's what America's about.
Yeah.
Take me to the good ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take me to Aaron Franklin's brisket.
Okay.
Tell everybody who you are and what your background is. I know because of the distance, there's kind of Mograph America and there's like Mograph Europe, Mograph Australia, and so there's a lot of people that sometimes go to a lot of meetups in other countries, but then we don't really get to always meet each other. Yeah. So tell everybody about yourself.
Mograph Down Under. We do it all upside down with our pants off. And everything spins the other way. I get all my jokes from The Simpsons. What you guys think of us?
Right. That'll cost you $20 dues.
I have been doing this motion graphics theme for about 20 years. Started my own studio called Yes Captain 6 years ago. Do a whole range of stuff, TV ads, explainers, event graphics, blah, blah, blah. And then a couple of years ago, there was just no cool events, and I was kind of jealous of all the cool events around the world, like Blend in Canada and Half Res and Off in Barcelona and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I guess there were a couple of festivals in Australia, but they were very broad. They were like, you might get a photographer or you might get a graphic designer and a whole bunch of stuff, and you pay $400 for a freaking day, and you only might be interested in one. Mm-hmm. So we thought, fuck it, let's start our own festival. So we started Node 4 years ago. This is the fourth year, and it's just motion design. It's great.
That's awesome.
One day
I gotta say, like, in my past, I don't know, however many years of doing motion design in 3D, like you hear a lot about Australia, and I feel like Nodefest has, you've been really, good to help bring about the name of all these, really good down under, artists and stuff like that.
Yeah, thanks. Because that's the mission. We wanted to shine a light on local talent, Australia and New Zealand. New Zealand, they're a bit funny. They're a bit weird. They usually get left out. So we look after them like they're our tiny baby brother. But there is so much talent down here, and a lot of Australians that have done well internationally, like Patrick Clare and Raoul Marx, some of the best title designers of recent years. Brett Morris in LA at Ranger & Fox. Yeah, a bit smelly. You get close. And Jess Herrera, who's just made it big, moving to London, being picked up by Animate, and spoke at SIGGRAPH recently, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And spoke on your podcast. Yeah.
Make sure to mention when you see her next, ask her how her dreams of wanting to grow up to be a dinosaur are going.
Yeah.
Right, okay. I can imagine with her fake surname, Harovas.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which is a real dinosaur. She
really?
has told us. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. I want to find
I didn't
myself
believe it. I
one.
had to look it up, but yes, it is a real dinosaur.
Right. I feel sick
So-
now. I've just eaten chocolate at 10:30. Because before we went on
yeah.
air, Matt was shoveling chicken McNuggets in his face.
I couldn't
and
help
making me
it.
hungry. And all I had was a chocolate bar.
So what? Were you were going to say? Is it 1 day?
Yeah, one day
right?
of talks.
1 day.
One day of talks.
Cool.
And then a very large after party. And because it's November, we kind of call it the Christmas party for the industry, you know. Before it's almost like most businesses here will have a big Christmas party. I'm sure you guys do that kind of thing before the holidays. And this is one for the industry because, you know, most motion graphics dudes or dudettes sit in a dark room and don't talk to people and masturbate. And this is a chance to get them out in public, get them together, get them drunk. And man, you should have seen how drunk Tim Clapton was last year. And I love embarrassing Tim Clapton at any opportunity I can get.
I like
We're gonna
Tim.
get all
Tim's
the
fun.
dirt.
Yeah.
We're gonna get all the dirt here. I'm
Yeah.
liking that.
I'll spill the
So
beans.
the after party. Oh man, that looks good. Here, see, I got a screenshot and everything. We can look at the website. Man, look at them hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah.
Tim hors d'oeuvres, though.
Them hors d'oeuvres, though.
And those
Let's
beers
talk
were
about
ready. Yes, talk about the speakers.
Yeah, let's talk about the speakers. Let's just go one by one, and you can tell us because I don't
Sure.
necessarily know all these people. But
Well,
can
I'll
I
give
click?
it-
Does it go to another page? Or?
If you hover over their
we'll
picture, that
Oh,
always
it
goes
shows some of
through
their
there.
work. Okay, cool.
Cool.
If you go back, if you just hover over their face, it'll show one image of their work.
Oh, nice. Like that.
I'll give
Pretty.
the overview first. Obviously, the focus is on Australian, New Zealand talent, but we still want to embrace the international community as well. So we try and get one or two international artists out every year. And this year we've been lucky to kind of get 2 or 3 if you count Jess. I mean, Jess is a Melbourne girl, and Node happens here in Melbourne, but she now lives in London. But we'll start up the top. Nydia, I mean, obviously, surely you've heard of her. She is a superstar art director, incredible style frames and just magic, you know.
Yeah.
And so she's from Portugal, and so it's going to be great having that international flavour in Melbourne. And then Ben Marriott is a young guy in Sydney who does really cool 2D illustration, AE kind of stuff, and he's got a massive YouTube. He's got a huge following on Instagram too. So, you know, I don't really like him at all. I'm just totally using him for his fan base. No, that's not true. He came last year and he ate so many sausage rolls, which were at the after party. So this year we thought, well, yeah, we'll bribe you with sausage rolls to come and speak.
Did he do? I saw one of his tutorials, where he tried out. Because I'm looking at his Instagram right now. I think this is him. He tried out one of those new animating with AI.
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a cool. I posted that on our Slack the other day. I was like, it's so cool. He takes like, you know that I can't remember what the name of the program, EB Synth or whatever. Yeah. It's this new one, and then I shot. Apparently, it's also, you know, worked on by Adobe and stuff like that, which I was kind of sad to hear. But but he took a couple of like Simpsons like still frames or whatever, and tried using EB Synth in order to like recreate the animation. Super cool. Dave,
cool.
I'll send you the link so that you can post it in the show notes. Make sure and check it out. But yeah.
And because he takes a frame from The Simpsons and paints over it to make it almost a 3D looking but hand done frame, and then lets the software do the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. It's super cool.
That's a big ass link.
Yeah, sorry.
And his YouTube just was on the trending page the other day. YouTube trending, so he's on the up. He's got really good videos that they're really short and sweet. Like, I can't stand super long videos really of a tutorial. Just get to the point. And he's got nice 5-7 minute tips on how to do something. It's really cool.
Yeah, that one that I just that's in the show notes. That one has over 600,000 views.
Well,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's really young. I don't know how old, but super talented.
That's cool.
And so then we've got Cameron Goff, who runs a cool studio here in Melbourne called Dirty Puppet. It's a cool name. Nearly as cool as Yes Captain. Maybe cooler. And they do just wicked shit, mainly in the character animation space. Mainly 2D, but very cool. There's a YouTube show down here called Auntie Donna, and they've done some animations for that are filthy dirty. If you want to see some animation with lots of swearing and vulgarity, that's where you go to see it. It's very funny stuff. And then we've got Marcel coming out from State Design in LA, which is a huge coup for us, and we're very excited because their work is phenomenal. I love their show reel that's very, I think they called it understated, which, most show reels are just people get their work and slap it to a track, but they made some custom stuff and really made more of a manifesto of their work, which is pretty cool. You've heard of State Design?
I have not.
I have not either.
Their work looks really cool.
I'm checking out their reel right now. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's crazy. I love it when a company has a reel that is like this. They've got, you can tell like the super realistic octane-y looking stuff, and then you've also got this 2D. Super like beautifully graphic design, like 2D animations and stuff like that. That's pretty sick.
They can do every style you want.
Yeah.
And the reel, just the fact that the reel has got a lot of their branding in it, done in lots of different styles, because their logo is their flag, which looks really cool.
Yeah.
They're just awesome. I'm totally jealous. So then bottom row, Jason Poley is a Melbourne freelancer. He just made a little animation that got a Vimeo staff pick, which is never an easy thing to get. Awesome. And it was about depression, I think, which is an interesting little thing to make a short film about, because I think a lot of people in this field don't talk about, your mental health, and all that stuff's important to talk about, because it's easy to feel on your own when you do a motion graphic, especially as a freelancer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
That one is called Scenes from a Brain.
Oh, there you go.
So,
have you seen it?
I'm watching it right now. That's
there you go.
You
can multitask.
I'm on the ball with this.
You can multitask.
Multitasking, man.
And then, of course, we've got Jessica Herrerasaurus. Not only did she win the No Dot competition last year, and she's just been an amazing Melbourne artist, and she's really progressed in the 3D space, character work, rigging, and then she's been picked up by Animate in London, as I said, and superstar over there, and then spoke at SIGGRAPH this year about rig topology, which is a sexy subject.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you what. So she's on our Slack now, and she's active. You know, it's cool. Yeah, and we just started
you get that post depression when you leave one of those events. I'm like, you got to join our Slack and come hang out, because then you won't feel like you're just going home and sitting in a room by yourself.
Yeah, it's cool. It's funny. She's in the modeling channel. We've got a modeling channel now, because we're trying to all get better at modeling. And I think that all stemmed from her talk at SIGGRAPH, because we're all feeling, self-conscious about how good our topology is now.
Right. So
it's pretty funny. And she's in there telling Bernd in the Bernd request line, okay, I need this for modeling. I need this. I'm pretty good.
Cool. How do you cope with that, though? You feel you've got to get better at modeling, but there's so many things we need to get better at every day.
Yeah.
So much pressure, and there's so much, because we all get inspired by what we see on Instagram or wherever, and there's so many things to learn. Want to learn ZBrush, want to learn Houdini, want to learn this, want to learn that, want to get better at Sim 4D. I still don't fully understand all the fields and shit. Like a new version comes out, and you don't have time to play with it.
Yeah, you're so busy doing regular work.
Yeah, the only reason I know fields well is because I had to do a talk on it. So I was like, better learn it.
Right.
Yeah. I know. I've told Dave, I'm like, I want to buy the Tim Clapham Learn Fields in a Day, just so I can really feel up to date and really know what I'm doing. Because when I first saw it, I was like, okay, I kind of get this. But then I try and do something thinking that I know what I'm doing, and it just never works. Yeah. It's my problem.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit tricky, but once you get your head into it, I think it might be Tim Clapham actually who explains it well. That it's kind of, think of it like Photoshop.
He does, yeah. Yeah, he does a great job.
Okay, who else we got? Nick Hamilton. I didn't know Nick before, starting this year of Node, and it's good that I start putting the feelers out to a few other people who can we get to talk. And Nick's really unique in his work. Like, you got to check out his reel. It's very kind of off the wall, experimental. He's more of a video artist, doing crazy projection things out in the bush, all that kind of stuff. So, I think he's going to add an interesting dimension because he might not necessarily be the most famous guy. That doesn't matter. He's just doing motion, but in a really different band. I think there must be some serious drugs involved.
Ooh, very pretty work.
Yeah, very pretty work. And just really, because a lot of the other people we've got might be your more commercial stuff, and this is a little bit more left of centre, which is cool. We want variety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's got a sweet reel too.
Yeah, he's got a very sweet reel. Ooh, it's long too.
Yeah. But actually, it's one of the few long ones I didn't mind sticking with.
Yeah. Interesting. Rad,
and then,
that's exciting.
To round us out, we've got Plugin Everything, which, I was using a couple of their tools. They're plugin developers. Mm-hmm. They make a lot of plugins that are on A scripts, A plugins, and I was using their tools and didn't even realise they were Australian.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so I was like, when I found out, I thought, cool, that might be interesting to, obviously we focus on animators, designers, that kind of thing, but hey, let's have people that are making the tools come and chat.
Absolutely. Yeah, Deep Glow is one of their tools, and everyone on the Slack just speaks so highly of that. It's a very, very good Glow plugin.
Yeah.
I also feel like Plugin Everything could be, a band. It looks like it's a band. It's their album, and their album cover and their latest hit is Deep Glow.
Yeah, right. It does.
It's a trance album.
It's got a Deep Purple vibe. Yeah.
That's
and
good.
The guy on the left, Digby, I've cropped his hair off, but he's got long hair, so he looks like a muso. He looks like he's in a band. The middle guy is way too good looking for to be a programmer or.
Yeah.
Look at the height.
I can see that. Yeah.
Look at the height in his hair. Apparently, he uses a lot of product.
I'm jealous. I need to know what he uses. Whatever he's using, I need to get my hands on.
Take your hat off.
I know.
What's under there?
Nah,
Well,
my hair looks so dumb right now.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
he's got it slicked back.
I got it cut the other day, and like the lady just didn't know what she was doing. She's like, "You want to keep your sideburns?" I was like, "If you could just like blend them," and she goes, "All right." Just I'm like, what are you doing, lady? Spend more than 5 minutes on my hair, please.
Wow, you could have just had a fight with a lawnmower and come off better.
Yeah,
that is shocking.
Well, tickets are still on sale, right?
Tickets are still on sale. We've sold 511.
Jeez.
And there is.
Congrats. That's great.
40 to go. We're very happy. Because it's grown from, it was 170 seat theatre in the first 2 years. It was 400 last year. Now it's 550. We're a big cinema this year. A very sexy venue. It's a crazy venue. It's just been refurbished. Some old magical theatre here in Melbourne. If you scroll back up on the website, there's a little photo of the theatre, and you can see the crazy. So that is the ceiling. Well, yeah, that's the ceiling with all this crazy Art Deco stuff, and the lights change colour and everything. So people won't even be looking at the screen; they'll just be looking at the sexy ceiling, like lying in bed.
I know, right? Wow. It's like what?
Like lying in bed, instead of looking at the ceiling.
Yeah. It's like that's like a Mographer's dream right there.
And they're obviously Aussie prices, so with the shit Australian dollar at the moment, that's probably $1 American for each ticket level.
What a steal!
Yeah.
So
I think it's the plane tickets that are the hard part for us.
Oh yeah, fair enough. But if you want an Australian holiday in November, which is virtually our summer, come on down.
Yeah.
I would like to be there right now when it's cold.
Well, thankfully it's not snowing, but you can have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be a big day.
Do you find that typically when people come out, do they stay for a while? They make a big trip out of it? Do they go do other things?
No, not really. I don't know why. Maybe there's too much pressure to get back. So there's a big bunch of Kiwis come over from New Zealand, but they generally just do the weekend. I guess because it's a bit expensive, even from there. And Australia is an expensive country, sadly. So, it adds up. But when we bring the international speakers out, like we had EJ last year, and he stayed for 2 weeks, which was awesome, and he toured around Australia with his wife, and they saw lots of the good stuff, especially up the top end where it's hot in Queensland, and I think he cuddled a koala, or maybe he might have given the koala chlamydia. I'm not sure which way it went.
Oh, man. That's
Sorry,
funny.
I can't help it,
I saw him cuddling a koala on Facebook, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
there is. Yeah. I think, I don't know, maybe people are too hungover and they've got work to get back to, so they don't stay too long. But we're happy
What
to
about
have
the,
them even for a short period.
What's that? What the ident competition? Is that already over this year, or is it still going?
It's still going. We've just extended it because everyone's super slack, and we started.
Yeah,
we give people.
We're all motion designers, and we always wait until the last minute to turn something in.
Totally. It happens every year, but it also is because one of the sponsors is one of the universities here, and
cool.
They enter, and it's part of their curriculum, which is cool. They make it part of their curriculum.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. We've partnered with them for the last couple of years. So in order to align with their semester, we need to extend it out. So September 20 is the new deadline.
Cool.
And Maxon have been awesome to every year. They've given us a copy of Studio.
That's great.
As the first prize.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So you got to make a 15-second animation with the theme of this year is fruity. And include the Node logo. But it is, I'm sorry, just open to Australian and New Zealand citizens. We would love to open it to the whole world, but and maybe we will in the future because we hate to exclude, but because the main thing of the festival is to shine a light on local talent. And also because if we open it to the whole world, then it's just going to take so long to watch every single entry.
That's true.
Right.
But we would like to have maybe an international side to it in the future. But at the moment, however, if you're like an American or an Englishman or Englishwoman and you're working here, you can enter.
Oh, cool.
But,
Cool.
That is one of the kind of exceptions.
And you got a great list of sponsors here too. This is pretty cool, especially that one down there at the bottom. I like that one.
Oh, yeah.
Which one of those?
Those jerks. Those people suck.
Those Mograph jerks.
Where? I don't know about them. They're a bit funny. They don't answer emails, and they eat nuggets in front of you, and
take
forever to pay their invoices.
Yeah,
right.
We're very lucky, and because I guess we're in little old Australia, and we're a little bit further away, we open it up to a lot of the studios as well. So a lot of my competitors almost, but they're not. That's what brings the industry together. So we've got a lot of Australian motion design studios jump on board, and also Yellow Lab, you can see there, who are from Canada.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, okay. Andrew Embry. So he stuck his hand up that he wanted to support us, which was lovely.
Technically, Ranger and Fox is from LA, but
technically,
Brett,
and apparently he's opening a Sydney office next year.
That is true. Yes. So, yeah. I've heard rumors.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they're going to sponsor the best student ident. So the best student ident will win a 3-month paid internship at Ranger and Fox Sydney.
Oh, that's awesome! That's super cool.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, he's gonna come visit us in December. So that's
what he keeps saying. Yeah. I'll see it when I believe it. Or I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah,
that's only if
Facebooking me.
It's only if there's a really good, student ident. Like if it's shit, if they're all shit, we're not gonna bang. But there has the last few years there's always been a standout, so there should be.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, we're very lucky. All the sponsors, especially Maxon, sponsoring us every year, gold sponsor. It's very good. Certainly couldn't do it without all those good sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Love those Maxon guys. They're good people.
Yep.
Yeah, they support the industry. They look after the industry. We'll keep them around.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Cool.
Well, I know me personally, I'm super excited about it. I wish I could come down. When I was considering it, we then found out that my wife was pregnant. So it's like, all right, well, I'm not going to leave her when she's, 7 months pregnant.
That's fair enough.
Because if I'm going to go down there, I'm going to stay for like a week, because it's going to take me at least a couple days to get back on a normal schedule, A week
down here is only just going to get you the breweries.
Right. That doesn't matter to me.
In one state.
Yeah. State. Yeah.
Well, that's a good excuse. What's your excuse, Dave?
Money.
Dave's Poe.
Also fair.
Yeah.
Also fair.
Yeah. Yeah, we're 50-50, so if one of us goes, the other person goes. So,
yeah.
And if the other one doesn't go, then, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, fair enough.
We will definitely make it down there one year. We will definitely make it down there one year.
No, I can appreciate it. It's a long way to go.
It's the flight time, too. I was looking at that, and I was like, woo, man. Because you made that flight before.
Well, it's a bit more, if we want to go to Europe or America, that's what it is. And it's still terrible, but it's not as shocking to Australians, I think, because we're so far away. If we want to see anything outside of our area, we have to suck that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whereas you guys are probably more used to, London would probably be the furthest you'd go, which is 7 hours from New York or something?
Yeah,
I don't think it's even that much. I think it's less than 7. Like, because what was Iceland from us?
Iceland was 5
from
hours.
Dallas. From Dallas was 7 hours, I think.
7.
What are you going to Iceland for?
Yeah.
For fun. For work. For work, we were taking stock video.
Oh, cool.
And using that as a business expense write-off.
Clever.
Yeah.
Clever.
Of course.
That we can sell
retreat,
online,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is a long way to travel, but what you do is you stop in Hawaii or Fiji,
have
a holiday there, then just break it up.
My folks may be moving to Maui. They mentioned that. So if that happens, maybe I'll definitely consider making a trip over there.
Yeah. Stop in New Zealand. New Zealand's pretty spectacular.
Of course. Yeah. We got a few friends in New Zealand. We could stop and see. I think
Rich, sleep on Rich's couch.
Yeah, Rich is over there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Peter Jackson, he'll take you.
Peter Jackson, just
right.
Hey Peter, come on, man. I've watched all your movies and the extended editions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I stopped after the Lord of the Rings. Can we go back to Brain Dead and Meet the Feebles?
Wait, what?
Have you seen Meet the Feebles?
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh my god, it's Peter Jackson's puppet film.
That's funny. See, I thought you said Meet the Deedles, because that was like a really terrible like Disney movie way back in the day that my wife and her family just absolutely love.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No,
I haven't heard
it's
Meet
the
the
Aussie
Feebles.
accent. You haven't heard of Meet the Feebles? You haven't?
No, I have not.
Oh, get it out this weekend. It's filthy. Right. There are drugs, sex, puppets having sex.
Awesome.
It was well before
So
that.
everything that you can watch in front of your kid, Matt.
Totally.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Totally. It was well before that. I think that Melissa McCarthy did a puppet film recently.
Right. Yeah, she did.
This was way back and really sick, and it was the R-rated version of the Muppets.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
You've seen Brain Dead, right? I think they called it Dead Alive.
I haven't seen
America.
Brain Dead, no.
Oh, come on.
Mm-mm.
Sorry.
It's Peter Jackson's zombie film.
Oh, you know what? I'm not a huge fan of zombie films.
I don't care.
You know what my beef is with zombie films? Is they're all exactly the same story.
This one's funny.
Oh, okay.
And it's in New Zealand.
Okay. I mean, I've seen what is it? What They Do in the Shadows or whatever. I've seen that. The vampire one. That one's pretty good. That one's real good.
I think Brain Dead might have been his third film when he was still doing it with almost his own money and shit. So it was impressive at the time for guerrilla filmmaking techniques and getting a lot out of no money.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then he went on to do one of the most successful movies of all time.
The Lord of the Rings?
No, I'm talking about Meet the Feebles.
Of course. You definitely have to do your homework and watch it this weekend.
All right, it's on the list. Saturday weekend.
Blowjobs, man.
Oh gosh, really?
Yeah. Can I say that on your show? Is your show G-rated?
You just did, so I guess so.
That's funny.
That's funny.
You'll never have an Australian on again.
No, it's
all
all
right.
good.
What are you gonna do?
What are you going to do?
We're Mographers. We love this humor.
Yeah,
Sure.
great.
Yeah. Well, the site is nodefest.com.au.
Correct. And Nodefest on Instagram is worth having a look,
Yeah, for sure.
because we
Cool.
post a little bit more there in terms of the speakers, kind of a little cut down of their show reel so you can see their work and stuff. And we'll film all the talks. They won't be broadcast live because of the time difference, but they will hopefully be online a couple of days after the event. And you can even go to youtube.com/Nodefest now to see talks from the last few years. So if you want to go back and check out Tim Clatton's talk or Buck Sydney, a couple of great talks up there. Brett from Range.
Brett's was really good. I watched that last year. That was awesome.
It was.
Dude, that guy with like espresso nodes, just
Oh yeah,
my mind was blown.
Yeah, he was well into that well before many others, and yeah, he's a smart dude
Mm-hmm.
and
He
a
is.
good-looking
Yeah.
rooster.
Yes, he is.
And what about you? If people want to find out more about you, can they follow you? Do you Insta?
I'm on Pornhub.com. No, sorry, that's terrible. YesCaptain.net is our site, and the Insta is YesCaptain with an underscore at the end, because some idiot has got Yes Captain and put 3 photos of their cat and hasn't used the account for 5 years, and how annoying is that?
That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's
how it
that's
goes.
the
With cats.
Mograph Twitter handle.
Mhm.
What
Of course, that's owned by someone in Australia,
Oh, really?
and I've tried tracking them down, and I'm pretty sure the person who owns it actually died. So I think that Twitter handle actually died with them.
Right.
It belongs to their company now, or their estate.
Yeah.
So
It does suck all that stuff, though, doesn't it? The Twitter and Instagram, there should be a policy, if it's not used within 5 years or hasn't had X amount of posts, release it. Come on.
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
Shit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What are you gonna do?
What are you going to do? Go and cry.
Go cry
Well, we
for
appreciate you
Argentina.
coming on and working with us with the time difference and all that kind of stuff. It's
You've been so difficult. Making me get up at 10 a.m.
yeah.
It's Father's Day this weekend in Australia. So I was at my daughter's school this morning having a croissant and all of that good stuff.
Oh, they don't do donuts with dads?
No, they don't do donuts with dads.
Oh, see, we do donuts with dads and muffins with moms.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
For, mothers and
that's a good
fathers.
idea.
Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they
fun.
did.
I don't know.
They weren't that
croissants
organised.
croissants
Children.
with the captain. Croissants with children.
Yeah. Wasn't the first C word I was going to go for, but
I didn't.
Well, we'll have to have you back
apologise.
on sometime again and chat a little bit more. I think.
Thanks so much for having me.
No, we want to see you at NAB.
Yeah, dude.
We want to party with you at NAB. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think the jokes would be a lot better or worse for some, depending on who you are when we're off air.
Yeah,
so
they'll be worse.
Yeah,
and
that's when the real fun happens.
There'll be squirrel grips.
I don't even know what that is.
You'll find out.
I'm not going to Google it because
when we were at SIGGRAPH, I was talking to Jessica and we were going back and forth saying, okay, do you know what this is? We'd say an American term, and she'd try and figure out, kiss my grits or something like that, And so she'd give us an Australian term, and the only one out of all of them I can remember, it's a Hagengrog or something. It's where you get the beer poops or something like that.
Well, I've never even heard of that.
Boggengrog, that's what it was.
Damn, I must be out of touch. I must be too old. She's young. I've never heard of that one.
Well, that means you haven't had them before, I guess.
Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Maybe I don't remember it.
Yeah, you might have.
I had to introduce her to s'mores. Do you know what s'mores are?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I've
yeah.
never had one.
Okay.
but-
See, yeah, she had no idea. I was just like, s'mores? What are s'mores? So we had to go make s'mores.
I did
On
think,
top of the Otoy building.
On top of the Otoy building.
I thought grits was something completely different. And then when I came to America in 2001 for SIGGRAPH in New Orleans, I had
SIGGRAPH in New Orleans? Really?
Yeah. In
Wow, that's
2001.
crazy.
It was crazy. I just the word sounds like they're bacony and juicy and greasy.
Oh,
and,
no.
disgusting freaking oats.
It's like, it's like, let's see, sandy oatmeal.
Yeah, no, because I ordered them for breakfast going, this is going to be filthy, heart attack.
Okay, so did you put anything in them?
Okay.
Because
probably not.
you have to like load it with sugar and put a little bit of milk in there, and then it's good. Yeah,
I didn't have any American to tell me.
Is it hominy grits?
Huh?
That's just regular
Hominy
grits, right?
Oh no, count them yourself.
Oh my gosh.
No.
And then for years brisket before I got into smoking. Brisket sounds like biscuit to us, which is our word for cookie. No, you guys.
Right.
I think a biscuit to you guys is a scone to us. But anyway.
Okay.
So I grew up thinking brisket was like a biscuit. It was like had no idea that it was this incredible part of the cow.
Oh man, so good. So good.
Good.
Come to Texas sometime. We'll find you some good brisket.
Yeah.
We got some great ones here.
All right, I'm going to have to plan a big USA tour.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, totally. Come on from down under. I should have started the whole thing with you upside down. See, that would have been fun.
Hey, it's not too late. Yeah. We can edit this.
Can I do it? Wait.
Yeah.
Flip, rotate. Can I? Let's see. Look, there you go. Yeah. Doing it on the fly. Oh man.
I don't have a little Aussie flag to wave or something. That's clever. Very funny.
That is funny.
On that note, we're gonna get out of here.
I've got some Vegemite. My buddy KCV gave me some Vegemite. It was very bitter.
I bet you.
But kind of good.
Wrong way.
Oh yeah, how do you eat it? I had it with toast.
Oh, okay, good. Because most we give it to Americans and they go in with a spoon or a knife and have a big.
Yeah, no. I made some toast. And I put some Vegemite on it.
Did you put butter
pretty
on
strong.
First?
What?
Butter first?
I didn't put any butter. Maybe I was supposed to.
Butter and Vegemite.
Butter and Vegemite. I'll try that tomorrow.
It's I made my daughter's lunch today and it was Vegemite sandwich. She has it every day.
See,
you grow up with it.
It's a little salty, right?
Yeah. She's 5 and she eats it every day. If we didn't grow up with it, we wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
I can see that.
It's made from beer, leftover extract from beer.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
And if you drive past the factory, it stinks.
Yeah.
Really stinks. Yeah.
So a real question is Vegemite or Marmite?
I've never had Marmite and
really?
I don't care. Vegemite's Australian. We stick to our own shit.
I asked a girl from Adelaide one time, which was better, and she's like, "Oh, Marmite, all the way, Marmite."
I don't reckon it is, and I don't care, and I'm not trying it because it's not Australian. And that's probably a falsehood. I'm sure Vegemite's not even owned by an Australian company anymore. I don't care. True Blue. We have Vegemite.
All right. Well, there you go.
Okay.
Cool.
Sorry, Dave. Dave keeps wanting to go. I think he's busting to go to the toilet.
We're just having fun here.
We can talk for hours.
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
All right, man.
Cool.
Well,
thanks
so much for joining us and talking to us about Nodefest. Super exciting. It's great to see more of these get-togethers. Check it out online.
Yep. Thanks. Follow us if you want to know a little bit about Artists Down Under, and appreciate Mograph's support. Thanks, guys. You're awesome. Good luck with Camp Mograph.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
And see you at NAB next year.
Awesome.
All right, we're going to get out of here now. I wanted to mention that we are getting some submissions now for video submissions for the 200th episode, or if you'd like to email us your favorite moment so that we could read it, that would be greatly appreciated. You can rate us on iTunes. You can leave a review. You can also subscribe. It helps get our ratings up. You can subscribe to our newsletter. Our first Mograph newsletter went out. We're going to be doing that on the reg to tell you what's going on and what's coming up and give you a little bit of idea of what kind of events are happening, things like that. You can check out our swag. Get yourself the Mograph logo tee, the Paul Babb Feel the Bab 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders, the Render Things shirt and hoodie, and long sleeve tee as well. It's going to get cold soon. Time to get those hoodies and long sleevers. Yo.
Also now available in the UK.
Also available in the UK. And don't forget that Render is Fire tee as well is available. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, and Mograph.com. Check us out, subscribe, and we're going to get out of here. Until next week, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
Have a good one.
Later, yo.
It's pretty good, I guess. Mograph.com, an online resource for motion graphic artists. Start your week with the Mograph podcast. Industry news, interviews with your favorite artists, and terrible humor. Watch live shows and interviews from Mograph events like NAB, SIGGRAPH, Half-Res, and local meetups. Our Mograph Talks feature live demos and motivation from artists all around the world.
Sometimes you gotta make stuff that you're not gonna put on your reel, and I'm not here to judge.
What if Rick and Morty show up for the countdown at midnight? That's where I peaked in life, in my career.
We gotta stop this thing, Rick! It's gonna kill us all!
Hear from the people that create your software, design your render engines, and artists that are changing the face of modern motion graphics.
You get that render done. Yeah, you better frame what?
Mograph tutorials and online classes will teach you about Cinema 4D, After Effects, as well as other popular software and render engines.
Throw in the HDR Studio, take the render settings, pick the HDR, put in a reflection, and gorgeous.
Branch into new software. Learn time-saving tips, techniques, workflows, and lessons that'll keep you up to date in the world of motion design.
Oh, brother, those are some of my favorite elves.
I love projects that scare me. When our art director comes to us and asks for something that I had never done before, man, it gets me pumped.
Join the conversation in our live sessions. Check out our plugins, or join the hundreds of daily active users in our Slack channel for technical help, advice, contests, or just to joke around. Real nice banana.
Ah, that's so funny! All right, I'm gonna live forever.
Subscribe today and get the latest updates on our YouTube and other social media channels.
Take all your dreams and just do it!
We don't care how you get here, folks. Just get here.
Subscribe to Mograph.com.